Hello, everybody, and welcome to a special pay-per-view edition of the Blue Thunder Pod. I'm your host, Billy Sullivan. With me, as always, the lovely and talented Dave Olinovich.
It's just lovely and talented every time now?
I figured I would go through and do a different one each time until I landed on one that felt like it flowed well. And
see.
Make it the gimmick then. So
lovely and talented is a hell of a gimmick.
if you don't like it,
Who doesn't like lovely and talented?
I'd happily change it for you.
No. Let's keep that.
Yeah, I think it works.
I'm loving it.
So today on this special edition extra Blue Thunder Pod, we're going to talk about Revolution 2024. We're recording on Thursday, so the pay-per-view just went down on this past Sunday. And Dave, what'd you think of Revolution 2024?
So, as the resident lesser of AEW fans in the room, it was one of the best pay-per-views I've ever seen in my entire life. We're going to go through. The reason we're doing a standalone version of this is because it would be a 5-hour podcast if we lumped everything together.
Away.
But no, it was there. For what was not great, everything was very good.
Yeah, I mean, there was one meh and then one disappointing match for me, and everything else was like fucking awesome. I'm used. I grew up and then many of my adult years were spent watching like mid 2000s to mid 2010s WWE pay-per-views. So like one not so great match. I actually kind of appreciate the not so. We'll talk about.
We'll go through match, but all of them.
But yeah, it kicked ass. It was. You guys probably are aware or watched it yourselves, but you guys know it. So the first match, the one they kicked off,
even before the first match.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Nigel McGuinness just adds such big fight feel to everything he touches. And he was like super heel-y.
Do you think we're getting Nigel Danielson? I do.
Nigel Danielson?
So you know how Nigel they have a history. All the time is like busting Danielson chops and relentless. It's because they had like a legendary feud, one match of the year, like for Pro Wrestling Illustrated, in Ring of Honor. It's like the best Ring of Honor matches I've ever seen, outside of maybe like the Punk or the Joe Necro Butcher with Punk and Eddie Kingston on commentary. Is probably my favorite. But Danielson and Nigel McGuinness had like I think it was a 3-match. No, it was 2. They never did the third one. 2-match like series. That the first one match of the year, and I think the second one did as well. The second one was in England.
These were all in Ring of Honor?
Yeah, and they're like, Nigel was a bad motherfucker, man. Yeah. I didn't know this. Like, I didn't really know his work too well until a couple of years ago when I was told to go watch those matches, and they're incredible. So a lot of people are thinking that the reason he sticks so hard to the clam digger.
So what you're saying is I have a reason to waste money on getting the Honor Club? Is that what it's called?
Well, if they end up doing Danielson, Nigel McGuinness, if they do finish that feud off, and that's 20 years old or whatever, and do the rubber match, and they put it on Honor Club, I would get it for 1 month. So get it for one single month and watch that match, and then discontinue it because it is a waste of money.
Well, yeah, money. How excited are you? How excited are you? Money.
Yeah, I'm very, very. We'll talk about
that when it gets there.
Episode.
But no, I was just right when the pay-per-view started. Nigel McGuinness. I don't know if it's the old NXT Takeover pay-per-view, I don't know, feel that he gave, and those shows were always good. So now it's like his voice is synonymous with just a damn good wrestling show. Yeah. But when I heard his voice right at the top, I'm like, oh, fuck yeah.
I love him. I love that crew. And they, I don't know if you saw the news that came down just like a couple hours ago. Looks like Kevin Kelly's done.
What happened?
He talked shit about like universally beloved Ian Riccaboni.
Oh.
And like on Twitter, he was saying we like went real hard on him for seemingly no reason at all.
Yeah.
So like when AEW redesigned their roster page today, Kevin Kelly was not on there. people are reporting that because I think it's a taping this week, so there's people at Collision or were at Collision earlier today.
He was not,
and he was not there. It was just Shivani and who's the
Morrow
and who does the Nigel. We're talking about it. Yeah, Shivani and Nigel. People think that they're probably going to reach out to Rick Abani to again try to get him to do it full time. I mean, he's the best option, even if Kevin Kelly was still there.
Right.
But school board or whatever, he's a weird guy. I love him, but he's a weird dude. But like Kevin Kelly looks like he's on the ouster. But I agree 100%. Nigel makes it feel real, and I like both him and Taz do that thing where they're doing a heel announcer thing, but they're not like cartoonish.
Right.
They just kind of like, you should cheat because you're not trying. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
It's not like over the top. Like sometimes when there's a heel announcer and it's just like, I only like evil things. They still act like human beings, Nigel and Taz. They just act like, rule breakers kind of human beings.
Very matter-of-factly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. First match was Daniel Garcia versus Christian Cage.
The Patriarch.
The Patriarch for the TNT title. Smart move to open the show with this.
Yeah, I assumed that they were going to kick the show off with the Orange Cassidy match just because they like that song playing at the start of like pay-per-views and Dynamite and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think that it was the right call doing opening with this one. I thought it was like the match itself lent itself more to an opener. Right. People going.
Especially in retrospect, after the show was over, this was good, but what came after was exceptional.
Yeah, if you would have tried to slot this in between especially the last three matches of the show,
right,
would have been in trouble.
It would have been a problem.
Yeah.
So, no, this was a good one.
Good back and forth. I mean, Christian doing what Christian does. He just always knows when to do what. He's doing his like cheaty stuff throughout. Yeah, I liked one of my favorites was the faked ankle injury almost immediately when the match starts, and knuckleheaded Danny Garcia, say hello to your motherfucker, falls for it immediately. I could have done without that, but but I guess it's in character because Danny is kind of dumb.
Say hello to your mother for me.
I liked Garcia's his gear too. His new tights.
They said who designed it.
They were very sparkly.
I thought about writing that down, but ultimately I didn't care enough.
I was dazzled.
Yeah.
I'm dazzled like the pilots when you shine a laser pen in their eyes and dazzled in that way.
Oh.
I was mesmerized by his tights.
Very flashy. A lot of flashy gear on the show tonight.
I also another thing that I wanted to point out in this match that I dug very much because there's not a whole ton to talk about move wise. I mean, it was a Christian Garcia match, like what you expect, in a good way. Yeah. But like what you expect, a little bit longer than it would have been on Dynamite, but just a good match. I did like the Christian. He did a fake out where like he put his hands up like he was going to do the Danny Garcia little samba dance he does, and he turned it into the Christian double muscle pose.
Double bicep.
Two-term double bicep muscle pose. That was great. Got tons of great heat. The crowd was hot as hell.
Especially right at the top, which is probably another good reason this went when it did.
Yeah.
Because, like you just said, it wasn't the flashiest thing. It wasn't a move-heavy match. It was this is the match that should have happened at this point in the feud, kind of thing. So nothing spectacular,
and get people going, but don't tire them out.
Yes, absolutely.
I had one big gripe with this match. The finish felt just like a Dynamite.
It was
finish.
It was a do nothing match or a finish.
I mean, the cheater's going to cheat, but do it in a more creative way. Nick Wayne, after Luchasaurus. Or, I'm sorry, after Switchosaurus got kicked out and Mother Wayne, and the crowd went apeshit for that. As they always do when, like
loves an
last
ejection.
Week, when anybody gets ejected.
Ever since
you
said that, yeah, I can't unsee that now.
But Nick Wayne was still out there, and he hit like kind of from the outside of the ring, Wayne's World.
He tried.
Yeah, it was like a little.
Couldn't have whiffed it any harder.
Yeah, I was trying to give him benefit of the doubt. Like, maybe he was just trying to pull him across the ropes or something.
Yeah,
but yeah, he just missed it.
He just kind of. It's not a stun gun, but like he just pulled his. He was trying to do was run from the outside, grab Daniel Garcia's head and pull it over the top rope, disorienting him, but. He completely whiffed, and it will be in the intro of Botchamania.
Probably.
Because it was so goddamn blatant, and it led to the end of the match, which is what made it.
It's fine. Like, the cheating thing, whatever. Bad guys cheat.
Sure.
It wasn't a schmaz. I'm happy with it. But, like, do something more interesting than just, like, Nick Wayne. Like,
especially after the very, like Daniel Garcia had a little bit of edge to him after the promo.
For sure, yeah.
So, like, but he didn't come out fighting like he had an edge.
Yeah, he didn't come out super fiery, but he did. I think he wrestled the match.
The match was undeniably good.
It built a little bit more than it didn't come firing right out of the.
Yeah, that's fair. Like it never. He did do one thing that I love. He had Christian in the corner, doing his doing the 10 punches in the corner where he's standing.
Yeah,
and he puts his fists up and he's going to do a Samba move, and he essentially just. Like thrusts in Christian's face several times.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Oh, and he also right before he did that, he pulled his turtleneck over his face, so he was completely.
I remember that too.
Completely in the dark.
That was wonderful.
Yeah.
Speaking of Mother Wayne with a glorious bedazzled turtleneck as well to show that she's part of the patriarch.
They all look good.
Amazing.
It's like the gimmicks so through and through.
Yeah.
One thing I would have liked is some explanation. Via a video recap, and I know they got this in them. I'm not trying to put the cart before the horse here. We will cover Dynamite on the next episode, but they recapped everything on Dynamite really well.
Yeah, they were, and like quickly too.
Quickly.
Usually I'm don't overdo it with recaps. I always get reticent about that, but like if you fire through them like that, hell yeah,
it was awesome.
Yeah,
and
great.
They could have used one to explain why Matt Menard was not at ringside to start, but they did say verbally that he got hurt on Collision. Would have loved a recap for that because when he eventually ran down, it would have contextually made a little bit more sense. And this is, dude, we're going to be so goddamn nitpicky in the show because there's not a lot to nitpick
like
about.
This is an A- match, and any of these knocks I'm doing or we're doing is
1,000%.
It's just because to be like to have some kind of critical analysis, you gotta. There's always no match is perfect. There's always something.
No, and you just got to highlight.
But in general, the match was great. Good way to kick it off.
They did one thing. They said Daniel Garcia was saying, "I did a lot of bad stuff, and I think it's what I'm going through right now is karma for the bad stuff."
No, that was Swerve.
No, he said it too. So
really?
Yeah. So that's why
that's weird.
Yeah. Because that's what I wrote down. I'm like, isn't this what Swerve? He said, Daniel Garcia said he's going through difficult times because of karma over what he did with the Jericho Appreciation Society. And I said, isn't this exactly what Swerve's doing?
That's crazy.
Too? So
I wonder if it was intentional or if he just
could be
repeated it. Like, how sometimes stuff sits in your subconscious after you hear it. Like
maybe they picked up each other's scripts. But
they don't get written out for them.
No. I'm being facetious.
Oh my God.
I'm being facetious, but not a lot to nitpick about here. Edge didn't come back, which was the time to bring Edge back, but they didn't do it.
I would say so if he was gonna cost Garcia the match.
But he could have came out and instead of having them thrown out, because he didn't. Again, not to put the cart before the horse, but he didn't turn.
No. So if he's not gonna turn in that moment, I would just keep him off personally. I keep him off TV. Let Danny Garcia have his it's his pay-per-view match. Just let him have it.
Okay, fine, fine.
So the second match of the show,
it's just his
on our
match.
First watch, I was I felt it was a little slow and plotting too, but I just rewatched it earlier today, and I was wrong. It was great.
It was fantastic.
It was
very.
I just wasn't paying close enough attention the first time through.
Right.
It's Daniel Garcia, Bryan Danielson versus Eddie Kingston for the Continental Crown versus Danielson's handshake.
Yeah, I love watching the ref holding all three of those belts up and having a very hard time.
It is.
It's so clunky.
Watching Eddie walking down to the ring for his entrance, trying to carry those three belts too. It's a hell of a thing. Did you ever notice he looks like a bird when he's with his head?
No.
He always, I mean,
like a pigeon where
he is coming down. He's always got, I'll try to explain instead of just showing Dave here, but like Kingston's always walking down when it's a big match, and he's got super wide eyes, and then he like will jerk his head to one side and like do a quick nod, like at the fans, like thanks, and then quick nod the other way and like thanks, and he does it like 4 times before he gets to the ring, and it's very strange. And he's like fumbling with the 3 belts all the time. He's just
and if you listen real close, he says dog every time. He picks
probably
dog, partner, fight me, partner.
Before this match kicked off, they did something that I thought was friggin' awesome, and I've never seen it before, and I want to see it at every pay-per-view from now on, like every company. They had, instead of doing a promo with each guy right before the match, they threw it to the back, and Lexi Nair was in back, kind of standing in front of where Danielson was in Gorilla, and he was doing his warm-up stuff like, you would, about to be introduced. And Lexi Nair like ran through what Danielson told her he was thinking and what he felt about the match and why. It was very, very much like a sporting like atmosphere kind of thing, something you would hear a reporter do at like a boxing match or something.
Sure.
And then they threw it to Renee Paquette, and she did the same thing for Kingston, and like it just felt very cool and real. And I like any new stuff, different stuff in wrestling. We're easy to please.
I think as we've seen everything.
Exactly. Like wrestling fans have watched a lot of goddamn wrestling.
Yeah. So even when we were talking about how when CM Punk and Wardlow did the Bret Hart Diesel finish from Survivor Series 1994, like or it was 5? Somewhere around there. 5, 6? It's escaping me. 4? He wrestled Bob Backlund.
I think it was 5.
5 feels right. But you see right there, that was 1995.
You know why this is, that we have to do this as wrestling fans? Because we abuse each other. And if you ever say you're a wrestling fan in front of another wrestling fan, they're always like, oh yeah, prove it. Yeah. Name every wrestler. Like, so that we get psycho about like remembering where I know everything and where it was and which number it was, because you get like called out and
totally
like smack talked about you if you can't immediately prove your credentials.
When did Owen Hart say he kicked his leg out of his leg?
Yeah, exactly.
I know that one. It was Royal Rumble 1994, actually.
And it's not. Yeah, it's like we're like an abused spouse or something. It's not our fault that we're this way. It gets beaten into us.
Yeah.
As wrestling fans, because we have a weird ass culture.
You're just trying to say that we're cool, highly desirable men. That's all I'm hearing.
2 of us are. But the rest of this crew
don't even care about the rest of them. Not until they can tell me.
Did you like that the thing that I'm gushing about right now, though?
Oh, yeah. It was so as you saw it as sports, and it makes sense that you're explaining it that way. To me, it felt like expository theater, where it's just like narration, right?
It is. It kind of is.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah,
and I like how they're pretending like they don't hear them in the background, and then like boom, the music hits and they go. It was such a concise way of introducing both guys, catching up their sides of the story perspective-wise, and then I'm all caught up. So in lieu of having to make a video promo in pre-production, this is fine.
Yeah.
This accomplishes exactly the same thing.
And quick and to the point, like most of the people watching the pay-per-view know what's going on.
Yeah.
But like for the few that don't,
boom.
A quick little thing like that.
And it took what? 20, 30, not even 30, maybe barely, 20 seconds per guy.
And I always like when they do the shot of the guy in Gorilla about to come out, and then you hear the music from that perspective playing from like their perspective, and watch them walk towards the tunnel, and then it cuts back to the regular camera stuff in arena once they come out. It's cool. I like that. I like watching that little like transition.
Absolutely.
So this match, it did start a little bit slow-ish, but Eddie Kingston's not going to work. He's not Mr. Work Rate guy. He's not going to be moving super fast.
No.
In any given match, but like
a lot of Danielson matches really do that, though.
Yeah, because the style that Danielson currently works or has been really in his AEW tenure, he'll like focus in on something very specific that he's going to go after, like right away, and that usually takes a little bit more time to like.
Dude, speaking of like credit where credit's due, the arc of Eddie's hand getting injured.
My favorite thing about the match.
Holy sh!
Eddie Kingston, like, I get frustrated with him because his strikes, not just his goofy thing, but his body. Well, I can get past that.
No, I kid. Stout out shifts.
His strikes in general are just, and a lot of his offense, it just looks soft.
Yeah.
And like, he can fix that. Like, fix that, dude.
Yes.
Because he pays so much attention to everything else.
Yeah.
That hand, the arm that he, so Kingston went to throw a chop partway through the match. Danielson ducks out of the way and he Kingston smashes his hand on the ring post and sold it like he broke his hand. And then it was his dominant hand, his right hand that he uses for everything. He's, his finish and all that stuff. But he sold it like hell, like for the rest of the match. He sold it like he was unable to use it. It was the coolest thing about the match.
So well done. And he's so consistent.
And they built that story. He ended up having to like finish the match out, hitting his spinning back fist lefty.
Yeah.
And then doing the powerbomb too. He was like favoring his left hand. And then when did you see when the ref went to, or when Danielson went to, so Kingston, as I just, obviously just pointed out, so Kingston gets the win with the lefty spinning back fist.
Oh, and then powerbomb.
And powerbomb.
And holds the shoulders down.
Yeah, the All Japan high stack powerbomb. But then when, because it was, the stip was, Danielson's got to shake his hand if Eddie wins. And he did. And did so like in good faith too. Like
how he did it too was really funny because Danielson teased like he wasn't going to shake the hand at first. And then Kingston walks away and Danielson calls him back. He's like, no. Yeah. And then he's like, all right, I'll do it. And then he hesitates again and Kingston walks away and I cranked up the volume as much as I could to make sure. And Danielson's grinning. He's like, I'm just fucking with you, right?
Oh, that's fantastic. I love it. Did you see his post-match thing? I wish they put these on TV.
Yeah,
those are great.
That was a very good one.
And it was like
talking about when they're in the trainer's room?
Yeah. Danielson's, his reasons made sense. Even why he thought the way he thought and why he changed his mind. Because at the end of that, that little promo where he's talking about, yes, I do respect Eddie Kingston. I was being an asshole. I shouldn't have done that. He's like, I'm proud of Eddie for winning, but I don't feel bad because I'm proud of myself for seeing through my own bullshit.
Yeah,
which is that's a human, a real thing.
It's not advanced two characters.
Yeah,
pretty
absolutely.
substantially.
Yeah, but when Danielson, we shook Kingston's hand and then he went to grab his arm to hold it up, in victory. But Kingston was like, "Oh no, not that arm!" Still selling after the match is over. So he grabbed his left hand and put that up too. He's very good at that.
It was like you said it best. The first time I watched it, it's like, okay, it was fine, it's over. And then the second time I watched it, I'm like, this was a very proper storytelling. Also, goddamn brutal wrestling match. They chopped the balls out of each other.
Yeah, they beat the shit out of each other.
It was dope.
Everything but the little machine gun baby chops there.
I even wrote, machine gun chops fucking suck. Here's one of my notes. One other thing I don't love is, and I brought up this gripe not too long ago, and it's hard to completely justify it. And the gripe is moves that won world titles are now cast away, not even signature moves, right?
Yeah.
So, the notorious ones like the super kick and the DDT, Shawn Michaels won how many world titles with that? And now it's a transition move. Everyone's got 17 DDTs in their arsenal, but I don't like that the Busaiku?
Busaiku knee.
Yeah. Is not getting the job done in matches.
I like it, and I'll tell you why.
All right.
It's because it's across the entire promotion. They are making a concerted effort to do the Gunther thing, where there's only one or two moves in the whole company that are really finishers. Because finishers are kind of silly. I mean, we love them, but they're if you think about them outside of the perspective of pro wrestling fan,
right?
It's silly that one a move would just work every time. So AEW has basically given up the idea of finishers. They're not the only. I mean, like I said, Gunther really does that too. He doesn't. There's not one thing that is the finisher.
Ways of doing it.
I like that they all still have signatures, moves that are probably going to be the move they use to get the win. But outside of the One Winged Angel and Shatter Machine, there's not really any in the company that are quote unquote finishers. And as long as that remains that way, across the entire brand, I think it works. I think it doesn't work if 80% of the roster has finishers that are all super protected and matches, always end when that move is hit. And then 20% of the guys are like, oh, it's not going to work this time.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's just, it's kind of a stylistic choice the whole company seems to have gone that in a direction of.
Yeah. It eliminates that tease though. Right, so like you said, the one-winged angel. That's the best example in the whole company. That's the most protected finisher in the whole company.
But the tease is still there because the finishers, the signature moves, do often finish matches, but they don't always.
But the tease for the one-winged angel is there, and that's like something like Ospreay.
But that's what makes that cool.
Was doing it a little bit too.
Kenny Omega thing, cool.
Right? But it's not in the Busaiku Ni where it should be. Like when he starts doing those yes chants, you should be like, oh shit. This is about to go real south for Eddie Kingston.
It still does end a lot of matches, but it's just not like a guarantee going to end the match.
Yeah.
Nothing is a guarantee going to end the match except for the one-winged angel and the Shatter Machine.
Yeah. I don't know. I got to pray on that one. Because I think finishers are important.
I understand. Yeah. I'm not, I know I'm the outsider.
Because
probably, but I did something I very recently noticed that like, oh yeah, you know what? They don't really have finishers in AEW.
Because also too, like, okay, he hits that thing, and then what? He hits a second finisher, and then what? He hits a third, fourth, and fifth finisher, and now we got a Rock Cena situation where there's 17 goddamn finishers, and like, oh, we've neutered all purpose for this minute.
Like they hurt.
And then there's, who does it? It's like is it the Gates of Agony? There's some dude that's got like dreads. I don't.
Bishop Khan.
In one match, I saw him do like he did a pedigree, like.
Yeah, he does a bunch of
all three of them did
Attitude Era finishers.
And I'm like, all of those won multiple world titles. Yeah. Why are you so just
But they didn't win
like
multiple
that.
world titles in the promotion that we're watching currently.
No, they certainly did not. But like
it's a Japanese thing.
Something has to like maintain a little bit of like value. Like you can't have everything weighted exactly the same. Like a power bomb, a regular ass power bomb.
I think because a move like the Busaiku Ni does often finish matches. Yeah, it's weighted much heavier than like a regular move.
Now that I'm saying it, maybe because in pay-per-views this is allowed way more.
Oh yeah.
Maybe because it's a pay-per-view and you kicked out of that. It's
Absolutely.
Like holy shit. All right.
They want to get you to bite on the 2.99.
See, this is why we do it. I got to talk it out. I got to realize what kind of show we're talking about.
And we are like I think the only two wrestling fans that I know that will actually talk it out and like figure out what the answer probably is. Usually we just are like everybody's just mean to each other
Screaming
and then you're an idiot.
Yeah.
And, excuse me, sir, AEW Mike Rotunda was so I think it's a good thing to get to come to a meeting of the minds.
That makes sense because now that I'm thinking of it, WWE does it as well. But
sure.
But they do it strictly in major matches.
Yeah, usually.
Where when there's so many more moves per minute in AEW, it seems like it's a little over abused, but in this case, no, probably not. All right, I'll stop talking about that.
But that match was brutal and
Great
awesome. I need Eddie's offense to look a little better, but everything else was awesome.
Yeah.
The next match was the
best match on the card.
So, like I said, one I was disappointed with. One was a I don't care match. This was the I don't care match. This was what the championship scramble that was started as Meat Madness, and then when Miro pretended he was hurt because he didn't want to eat a pin, they had to like scramble, and I guess the name is apropos. And of course, Jericho wedged himself into this situation. I did realize something today. We'll talk about it on Dynamite, but something we bitched about Chris Jericho. Here's a tease for a regular episode. Something we complained about Chris Jericho in a prior episode that a thing that happened on this week's Dynamite opened my eyes to. I think maybe it was some long-term storytelling. It's pretty cool because I missed it on first watch and I had to think about it for a while and I was like, I think that's what they're doing.
Okay.
Well, yeah, we'll get to it. But yeah, it was. I didn't write down the.
So it was Chris. So first off, the All-Star Scramble.
I know Magnus was there.
All-Star. So the winner gets a future opportunity at the AEW World Championship. The participants were Chris Jericho, Powerhouse Hobbs, Lance Archer, Wardlow, Dante Martin, Hook, Brian Cage, not Nick Aldis, Magnus. This Magnus was the son of Tony Salazar, the Golden Boy.
The CMLL.
They had tell me a lot of things really fast. It was just, you have so many. how come Penta couldn't have been on this? How come you couldn't put somebody that I know? Yeah. I get it. You have do you want to work with CMLL or don't you? I can't tell. It's wishy-washy. But those were all the contestants.
Something funky happened there. I mean, I know the visa thing, but it just feels weird.
It's odd.
They're like
it's like they owe them
breaking
something.
Up and getting back together.
Yeah,
like every 4
it's
days.
An abusive relationship.
Yeah.
Wardlow's entrance was the only notable one because Adam Cole was wheeled out by Taven and Bennett. And then he was wheeled right back.
Yeah.
It was just to get him on the show, but
exactly.
that was the only normal.
Get him his pay-per-view paycheck.
Yeah. You have any high spot moments?
So yeah, they did a spot in them towards the middle of this match. It wasn't overly long or anything either, so whatever. It's not terrible having a little downtime in a pay-per-view. But there was a spot in the middle that encompassed what I thought Meat Madness was gonna be, where all 4 of the big guys, Lance Archer, Wardlow, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Brian Cage were just those 4 in the ring, and everything they did, the entire crowd did the meat chant that you created.
Happy to be part of it.
And that was neat. That was fun. And then there was a bunch of just multi-man spot stuff that was good too. Yeah. Dante Martin almost killed himself twice.
He botched really badly twice.
In ways I've never seen him botch at all before.
He missed a tope suicida.
Yeah.
And then
it was kind of both the same way too. He hit his feet on the ropes, I think, in both of the botches.
The first one felt like, okay, I like this, he just didn't point his toes or his feet got caught. The second one, I feel like he completely missed all of his. Yeah. He flipped over who's that dude in the WWE that's Top Dollar who got famous for flipping over. It looked exactly the same. But
and Dante usually
but everything else he did. And that's how good this guy is.
Yeah.
He missed 2 spots, but he hit all of his other spots beautifully.
Exactly. Yeah. And he's usually Mr. Reliable. Otherwise, we wouldn't have even noticed probably that.
Speaking of Mr. Reliable, somebody threw a very passable lion salt in this match.
Yeah.
It was Chris Jericho and Magnus did. It was pretty cool.
Am I coming around on Chris Jericho?
I think
my Dynamite thought that we'll get to. And yeah, you're right. He was okay here.
This is like when a TV show the show Lost used to do this, where it was good once in a while, and then because they'd give you something once in a while.
They give you a new mystery.
Yeah, but most of the time it was what the fuck is going on here? So it's as long as you give me little blips of joy with my entertainment, I will grandfather it in as an enjoyable experience.
Sure. I want to like stuff.
So Chris Jericho, if he throws a proper moonsault once a month, I guess, Chris Jericho's coming back around.
Chris Jericho's back, baby.
Meanwhile, we're shitting on Dante Martin, who's usually perfect.
Incredible 24-year-old lucha star.
I don't know. Chris Jericho's watching that senior citizen dog get up and walk to the
when your 16-year-old dog is a little more perked up. Oh, look who's got the little spark in their step.
He's wagging his tail. He just wants a dentine.
Yeah, exactly. I bet he's got rough breath too.
The worst. Dog ears. He's over 100
The one spot I didn't dig a ton. I mean, match was fine for what it was. Good. A little downtime. We were watching this in a more social, engaging situation.
Absolutely.
With a bunch of our friends. And it's good during pay-per-views if you're watching with a bunch of people to have these kind of downtime matches.
Yes.
It is not the greatest thing of all time if it's all 5-star matches from start to finish.
You need a break.
Yeah.
We need some time to eat home run in pizza.
Yeah, you don't want
an unofficial sponsor.
Big Macs
of Blue
are
Thunder Top
awesome.
Toppers.
You don't want to eat 5 of them in a row. You need a break.
Potato Pot Papas. That's hard to say fast. The name of our product. Blue Thunder Pod Blue Thunder Pod Podcast.
Every time I say it, it just now it just naturally comes out Blue Thunder Pod.
I hear you say it like that when I'm I don't know, thinking about it.
I didn't when I'm sitting at home,
thinking about my product,
pondering,
making a sandwich. Blue Thunder Pod.
They did a spot where they did 4 what is this move that I think of? Superplexes. They all in each corner, one in each corner, and it just took a while to set up, and it looked super fake because they had to wait for each guy to get set up, and then they all did it at once, which was a cool visual, but the setting it up took me out of it a little bit. Again, something I noticed on second watch. So whatever. Small gripe, good downtime match.
They did do a couple real cool spots where Hook had Brian. Was it Brian Cage? No, it was Wardlow. Hook had Wardlow in the Red Rum, and Chris Jericho picked up Wardlow's legs and put him in the walls of Jericho. And that was cool.
That was cool.
And then they did a really cool spot. He did a Hook did a Tazplex on Jericho right into a Northern Lights suplex.
Yes.
Which would, again, teaser for Dynamite, like that plays into Dynamite. But Hook did a nice job.
He looked good. Hook
looked good. And like everybody bumped their asses off for him.
His strikes are actually not terrible now, too. I wanted him to go on an excursion to Japan because his strikes, I mean, when he came up, he was immediately great at the throws because Taz is his dad, for Christ's sake. So he's going to be good at that stuff. But his strikes were like, they looked so ineffectual.
Absolutely.
But he's coming around on that too. They look pretty good in this match.
Hobbs looked awesome too. Put a rocket on this guy.
I love him
he's
so much.
Undeniable. He's undeniable.
He's got the best look in the whole company.
He's the most legit
and
too.
Everything he throws has got
He's just a great goddamn worker. His look is good. I don't know. Like
he's willing to put it out there too. That hardcore match that he had with Sammy, who got suspended for, by the way.
I got some feelings about that. We'll talk about that right after this match because I'm conflicted. One thing, so as is tradition, if I say something nice about Chris Jericho, I have to give him immediate negative points as well. There was a spot where Jericho hit Hobbs with the fog from a fog machine.
Oh, yeah, that was silly. Very silly.
I can't give him full negative credit here because...
Blame, I believe, is the word you're looking for.
No, because they were thinking correctly, but I don't know, and this is really nerdy. I don't know if it was water-based fog or oil-based fog.
Yeah, it's pretty nerdy.
If it's oil-based fog, which I can't imagine it is, given that it was earlier in the pay-per-view and you don't want to stain the mats, oil-based fog would have been a serious problem for Will Hobbs because it's oil-based.
Yeah.
It covers everything, probably including his eyes. If it's water-based, it's way more forgivable. So, I noticed it. I'm pretty sure it was water-based. We're spending way too much time listening to me talk.
I thought that it was dry ice and water. And
no, it was fog machines have solution water-based or oil-based. So, that was it. And again, like we were saying,
of being a stage performer,
yeah. I fill these things up every weekend, and I'm like, water-based or oil-based. But again, we said at the top, we're going to nitpick the shit out of this show because even this, which was a thrown-together hodgepodge, I make fun of Brian Cage every week. He did cosplay this week. He was old school Sting. That looked fucking rad.
Looked amazing. I love that look for him.
That was a theme.
I would keep that look, honestly. Like,
it did look good.
Don't do necessarily the Sting. He had like the long boy old Sting tights on and then face painted like Surfer Sting.
Do that with the Kano face paint.
Yeah,
just keep the long boy. He does look better.
Way better with the long boys.
I couldn't agree more.
Brian Cage, I was going to say this during the Dynamite, but it actually fits here too. Brian Cage is one of the most valuable guys they have on that entire roster because he's one of the few that like really just knows his role. He's like a mid to low mid carder.
He's like a gatekeeper
who's willing to like eat pins, but also he feels like he is a danger, even though he gets beat all the time because he's just that good in the ring.
Yes,
that like doesn't matter if he just lost 6 straight matches. You're not thinking about that. You're thinking about, oh Jesus, this guy who's like a physical freak. He's a giant monster that can do all these like crazy lucha moves and these old like late 80s Scott Steiner moves that he does like. That blinds you to the losses he's eaten. So it's like a very rare thing in wrestling, and it's super valuable.
Yeah. Yep. Couldn't agree more.
Remember when his contract was up like last year, and then he re-signed, and me too. But everybody was like, "Why? Why did he? And why did they?" Well, like this is why, because that's what he is, and like it's more valuable than like upper mid carder because they have plenty of those.
Like, they do have plenty of those.
You need people that can lose and make other guys look great, and he does that.
And he's serviceable on the mic. Look at how complimentary.
Yeah.
Look at. Usually these are. I said something nice about Jericho. We're saying nice things about Brian Cage. We're saying Hook as like legitimacy. Speaking of legitimacy,
Wardlow. Did we say? I don't think we said. Wardlow won this match.
Wardlow won this match with a. It was a last ride.
That's what he uses, yeah. That's
but like they didn't call it a last ride.
It looks better than The Undertaker's, too.
Than the what?
Than The Undertaker's last ride.
Everything
at least late Undertaker.
I got some thoughts about The Undertaker.
Yeah, I think I have a feeling we have similar thoughts.
Oh, my God. He's like the guy that like used to have the job, and he just wants to keep talking about like how great his job was, and we're like, dude, we don't give a fuck about you anymore.
And also, every generation that comes after him doesn't understand it, and they're all like pussies. And
in my day, it used to be guys drinking in the locker room and sharpening their knives, and now it's just a bunch of pussies playing video games.
Yeah, it's like because it's a decent workplace and people respect each other.
Totally,
like, not shitting each other's gym bags.
And
he's the worst. He's the worst.
He's right. He's right because back in the day, they had super athletes like Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay.
Exactly. Plus all those old school guys, after they got out of wrestling, they had like long, fruitful, happy lives too.
Yeah.
Like
they're all alive and still, in good spirits.
But Wardlow's he improved on the Undertaker's finisher
by a lot. By a lot. Even Lance Archer does that old school better than the Undertaker.
Yes, he does
with the backflip or whatever.
He's a better wrestler than the Undertaker too. I do have a Wardlow question for you. So the hairdo. When he first was sporting it, I assumed it was just, he's growing his hair back out.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to put up with this hairdo on our TV screens for a week or two. It's been like a month. I think he's cutting his hair that way. And that is upsetting to me. His hair looks like a toddler who like just woke up and is like walking down into the living room in their little diaper and like half shirt, little belly like toddlers have, and just super messy, nonsensical hair. That's what Wardlow's head looks like to me.
If he's gonna keep looking at the Titantron and flexing,
that's awesome.
We'll give him a pass.
Sure, yeah,
we'll give you a pass this time. But no, the match was good. Yeah, last ride to Dante Martin. Wardlow gets a future AEW World Championship match, which we will cover on Dynamite. But all in all, fun. It was fun.
Yeah, it was over delivery. Yeah, I didn't expect anything from this, and it was pretty solid.
Yep, absolutely.
Orange Cassidy and Roderick Strong for the international title came next. This match was exactly what you expect Orange Cassidy and Roderick Strong to do.
Yeah.
I did really enjoy seeing it, though, because Roddy's been doing so much like sports entertainer stuff lately that you forget how amazing he is in the ring.
Yes.
And how like dangerous and scary and brutal those backbreakers he does are.
Do you have I counted. Do you have an over-under on how many backbreakers were delivered in this match?
So like all in total, like backstabber based, single knee based.
Anytime a knee touched a back, and also there was time when Orange Cassidy either under or over rotated and he caught a knee to the stomach. But the intention was a backbreaker, so I grandfathered it.
This is a total, absolute wild guess. 7,
11.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad I undershot it because I hate when somebody's like, "Hey, can you guess?" And then the person's like 247. And then you're like, oh, yeah, I guess it's not that many then.
No. You played it safely. Price is Right rules. You get to go play a fabulous pricing game.
And also, Roddy won this match with his, like, I forget what it's called, but his backbreaker finisher that he uses.
The hell is it called? End of Heartache.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. That's a good name.
Yeah.
But clean as a whistle. Like, absolutely. This was a clean victory for Roderick Strong.
Nobody was at ringside. It was just a great wrestling match.
They went 100 miles an hour from bell to bell. Like I don't know how Orange Cassidy does it.
No, he's
wrestling like 5 times a week.
They're doing something between him and Darby and Ray Phoenix, and like there's a bunch of dudes where I don't know what they're putting in the water in catering, but these guys just have like the confidence of like like those free solo guys that just climb the side of cliffs without
no worries.
And you're just like, I guess I'll just do this.
I'll never get hurt.
No, and we're like, wow, this is the greatest. It's probably And then you got the Undertaker saying how much better his fucking generation was. And you got a match like this.
Big Evil Dead Red Devil.
Yeah. Orange Cassidy against Roderick Strong in 1996 would have been. They would have had to stop.
It would have been in WCW under lucha masks, and nobody would pay attention or make any noise.
That's fair
in the first 2 matches of a pay-per-view.
Absolutely. Yep. Now that you say it like that, that's even funny.
It'd be Psychosis La Parka. It would be awesome, but you wouldn't realize it until 20 years later when you're 44. And you're like, oh my God, these were all great.
Absolutely. You're not wrong. Now that you say that. They did a couple real cool things. Roderick Strong did a gut wrench power bomb.
Oh yeah, that was
onto the top rope.
Yeah, it was brutal looking.
It looked tough.
I don't know why, but whenever you do a move onto the turnbuckle that's not generally like a turnbuckle based move, it looks like you're killing.
Especially when it's asymmetrical.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that probably is why, because they fall in a weird way.
Yeah.
Then,
like if they could brace themselves, like, you know, with both of their arms, like, hey, we're in a good spot. But a gut wrench, which is, you know, by design off center, and all that momentum is just going to keep carrying you over. I don't know. It was dope.
It looked great.
It looked amazing.
whole match looked great.
He did and then Orange Cassidy reversed End of Heartache into a what is he called? Stun Dog Millionaire.
Stun Dog Millionaire. Yeah.
It just looked cool, and like it's
one of those moves that surprises me every time he does it too. He does it every match, and I'm like, oh shit, that was awesome.
It's so fucking cool. And then Roddy Strong does a better lion tamer than Chris Jericho does. The Stronghold.
Yes.
So I'm just trying to think of everything to praise about this match.
Basically,
it was so
they
good.
did exactly what we've been asking for 2 weeks from this match. It's like, okay, well, you've been telling the story for maybe even a little bit too long. Like, could have probably scaled back one of those Dynamite episodes. But the story they were telling, as we had discussed in the lead-in, was that Orange Cassidy was like beaten up from every angle by mostly the Kingdom or the Undisputed Kingdom
and
guys.
He was taped up considerably.
Yeah,
we didn't say that. Yeah.
But like Roddy winning clean, that tracks, and it makes Roddy immediately feel much more significant than he did a week ago.
Totally, and it maintains the integrity of that belt being the workhorse title.
Yeah,
where. I hope he wrestles every week.
Absolutely. I could watch him every. You forget, but like, 3 months ago, he had that hardcore match with Jericho. Mm-hmm. It was great.
Yeah.
He just hasn't been on TV except for doing his character stuff.
Yeah. He, I think, is an unfortunate bystander of all the Undisputed Era guys. Really, like, Kyle O'Reilly got hurt. Bobby Fish can't shut his fucking mouth.
Speaking of.
I should have said that in the opposite order. It would have been a better segue. Kyle O'Reilly came back.
Yeah, he did. Coming back with a scraggly hair going.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool, I thought, because
it was right after the match. Taven and Bennett came out to help celebrate with Roderick Strong. They did not interfere in the match in any way. They were just celebrating.
Yeah.
And then no music, no nothing. Fucking Kyle O'Reilly.
He came actually all the way through the crowd.
Yeah.
It wasn't even out of it wasn't even out of the tunnel thing that Moxley usually comes out. He was through the crowd.
Yeah.
Which it's Kyle O'Reilly, so you probably wouldn't notice him.
Yeah.
He looks like a regular dude. But yeah, once he got in the ring, hugged Roddy. First they did like a hesitation thing. It was just to build tension in the moment. But then he hugged Roderick Strong, of course, his former tag team partner. Yeah, team partner. It wasn't just Bobby Fish. It was Roddy too, and from NXT. And people kind of popped for that. Then Taven or Bennett then took his Kingdom shirt off and had to hand it to O'Reilly, and O'Reilly was like whispered something to Roddy, but handed them the T-shirt back like, I'm not ready for this. I just got back and I'm not going to make it. At least that's how I read it, was I'm not making any decisions right now. But what I thought the coolest part about it was Kyle O'Reilly was like visibly emotional. I think he was not expecting that kind of response. Mm-hmm. And he kind of broke character almost and got like teary-eyed, and it was awesome.
Massive pop.
It was very cool to see.
Like even watching when we were watching in our more like social, not watching with a laser focus, everyone in the room's like, oh
yeah, I jumped up off the couch. I'm like, Kyle O'Reilly's back.
So yeah, homeboy deserves it though.
Absolutely,
he's solid. He's absolutely solid, and they mention later, it was on Dynamite, but whatever, I'll say it. He's been out for like 2 years.
That's actually the second guy. We didn't talk about the pre-show, but on the pre-show also, Pac did a promo, like a pre-tape promo, and in the promo he says, we still, like, his fans don't know why he's been out, but we knew it was serious. He says in the promo that it was he almost died. He said it in his like Geordie, the bastard Pac way. He used some British slang that I am not familiar with, but it meant I almost died. And so both Pac and Kyle O'Reilly reports came out after this that like there were points in their most recent injury, the one that they're coming back from now, on both guys where the company didn't think they were ever going to wrestle again. They didn't make that public, but that is a thing that happened. And now both guys getting them back basically on the same day. It was very cool.
That's very cool. Now we got to worry about Kenny Omega.
Yeah,
he's another one that's on the shelf.
At least they're talking about him on TV now, so that makes me feel like okay, he's probably okay at least.
Sure.
But that was cool.
Yeah, that was so good match. I'm very excited about Roderick Strong wrestling on TV on a weekly basis.
Absolutely. There's lots of good stuff to be had on a weekly basis. Mox and Claudio of the BBC. I mean, the BBC against FTR. Yeah. So Mox and Claudio came out wearing the Road Warriors style football shoulder pads with spikes that I hope are unscrewable because I don't know how you travel with those things.
I can't imagine TSA would allow that through.
They look awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the Road Warriors.
Claudio put like his flag on.
Yeah.
Which I'm really glad he did because I wouldn't have. I forget sometimes what nationality he is.
Yeah.
Because he never. Like, I don't know.
Well, he's Swedish, right?
I don't know.
I think he's Swiss.
Yeah.
He's Swiss,
Wait,
but
he's
his name.
Swiss?
I'm almost positive.
Are you
sure?
He's
the Swiss Superman.
Oh, I can't
Remember
tell
his
from
WWE days? He was the Swiss Superman.
I can't tell from
but
all
his
of
Italian
the Swiss flags that he has on everything that touches his body.
Okay. I get it now.
I gotcha.
But I legitimately
Swiss.
forget a lot that because his name is it's like Super Mario Bros. Castagnoli is like
if you say his name while you gargle salt water, they say you won't have a sore throat.
That's just the magic of Claudio. He's he's so handsome and wonderful.
He's like if you what's his face? Who's the guy with the bees that you say his name? Candyman. Mm-hmm. So that's what
Candyman.
Kids don't say Candyman in Swedish in Swedland.
No, I'm sure they have. I'm sure they have some kind of a like Christmas tradition, like character that comes and steals you from your bed and as you sleep at night because
it's him, and then he airplane spins you.
Yeah. Speaking of, and this match, I think our live watching experience is almost exactly how the match actually went on rewatch too, where. At first, we were like, "Oh, is this match okay?"
It felt very WWE.
They it seemed to be their worst match yet. And then, like, as soon as we started vocalizing that, they pushed it to 11 and like started trying to kill each other. It was unbelievable.
Absolutely.
And it got just super hard hitting, and every move looked like they were trying to kill each other. And eventually, Dax get knocked out of the ring. I think he was on the steps, right?
Yes.
Hit his head on the ring steps and busted open.
Oh boy, did he hit a vein?
Yeah, and you could tell Dax is not a guy that blades a lot because all those guys are always the ones that end up going way too deep, and like that's kind of what he did. Matt was a bloody mess after the match,
like a concerning amount.
Yeah,
like at one point the ref is like hovering over him, like
and
it's like, is this the end? Buddy?
One thing that made that contributed a ton to though was when Claudio did do the big swing.
Yes.
Oh my God! When you got a guy that's like already bleeding a ton from his head, and then his head starts to turn purple because Claudio's doing the spin to him. It was like making me nauseous watching it.
It was super effective.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Super effective. Awesome. I didn't have a lot of
it was like the same. Essentially, we could say the same stuff that we have said in this feud up until now. Outside of that last match they had on the Go Home show, it's just been awesome. And Ring trying to kill each other the entire time. The finish was like cool finish.
They Blackpool Combat Club won with stereo chokes.
Yeah. Yes. So I think Moxley had Cash first in a choke, and then Dax slid in the ring to try to make the save, but Claudio cut him off at the pass and threw him in a rear naked.
I didn't write it down. I think Dax like tapped. There wasn't. It wasn't a pass out. There was a tap.
I think you're right, and I liked it too because the story had been, Moxley tried to kill Cash with that move. So Dax, being a smart dude, would do that.
Absolutely.
Did you ever notice? I'd noticed during this match, and then I went back and I saw that he does do this like in other matches. Dax will like audibly call for Cash's help.
Oh,
he'll be like, Cash, come here, I need your like during the matches, which is just another cool little real. It's not Cash won't just come in to make the saves. It's almost always Dax like calling him by name. I need your help now, which you would do if it was like if these were real fights.
Absolutely,
you would do that when you needed it. And I like as much flack as me and everybody else gives Dax for his goofball bullshit that he does all the time.
Oh, he's
incredible.
He's an insanely good worker.
Yeah,
and he would have been
best brainbuster I've ever seen.
He would have been a 4 horse. Like he would have been a perennial Ric Flair territory world title
That's what
feud.
He thinks too.
But like they work correctly and they work intensely. And like I said, I don't got a ton of notes for this match, but like, it was just a very goddamn good, proper tag team wrestling.
This
match.
one was the match that got my blood properly flowing. Like AEW pay-per-view. All right, I'm ready to roll here.
It was just really well done.
Yeah, it was great.
And then. It was fine.
Most disappointing match on the card in a while, and I think a change needs to happen here with one of the performers. It was the timeless Toni Storm versus Deonna Purrazzo for the women's title, and it was a little disjointed. No hard hitting anything. In the entirety of the match.
The only thing was when she does that, I don't even know what you call it, like a snap pile driver or like that stuck pile
like
driver
thing, or
yeah. She drops her.
Yeah, she does. Yes,
that's about it. That and the hip attack, which I even
the hip attack always looks awesome. I don't know if did she hit it in this match?
Yes. Oh wait, yeah, because I wrote, "How do you not die from the hip attack?"
Okay, yeah. So that always looks great.
Yeah.
And Purrazzo like mostly graps. That's what she does. And she was fine, but like.
Graps, as in grapple?
Grappling.
Yeah.
The graps.
Yeah.
It's another British wrestling thing.
Sounds like a muscle, like, I got the graps today.
But like Toni Storm, because she has incorporated so much of her character into her in-ring, most of the stuff she does now does not look nearly as impactful as it used to.
No.
And then when you have like a grappler against Toni Storm, primarily would have been a striker, and they kind of continued to tell the story that they were telling going in, that she was going to try to beat her on Deonna Purrazzo's terms. Mm-hmm. So like I understand some grappling, but if you're just doing like one great grappler against one okay to good grappler who's also usually great at the hard hitting strike stuff, but now no longer uses it because of their gimmick, it's a boring match. And that's what this was.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, you know what my favorite thing about the match was? Before in the entrances, before Toni Storm came out, her old music played, and what looked like Toni Storm in her original AEW gear came out
with her bootleg Barracuda song.
Yeah, and everyone went apeshit, and it was Mariah May cosplaying.
Yeah.
So that was the joke: is that you asked for the old Toni Storm? Here you go.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess I echo exactly what you're saying. There was a spot, and you could tell how slow the match was because there was a point where Toni Storm kicked Deonna in the groin, and it was, and the next like 30 seconds, the announcers are trying to figure out if that was an effective move or not.
Yeah, it was basically like when Al Michaels will, like, if there's a terrible game on Thursday Night Football and he just doesn't give a shit about it, and it's super boring, he'll just start talking about like his taxes or gambling or whatever. That's what they were doing.
Deonna Purrazzo got a visual tap out.
Yeah, she did.
Because the ref was not looking, so
it was kind of a dirty win. But,
but then
Luther interfered to distract the ref.
I love that pile driver, man. It just looks.
It's cool. Yeah.
It looks correct.
Honestly, I like everything that she did before the Timeless Tony thing. Now every move has some kind of a flourish on it that like takes away from the move itself, and that's one of the few that has remained exactly like it was, and it looks awesome still.
She's very and I love that she's so dedicated to the character because she changed her entire style.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do think that it's going forward, it's still a good idea to have those character slight embellishments on your in-ring.
Yeah.
But you don't have to do a big dance before every move and take the impact away, because right now, like, just as if I'm watching this as a sport, whenever the fallout happens, like, I don't believe like Mariah May would beat the shit out of Toni Storm right now. It wouldn't be close, because Mariah May is like Queen Naminata. She's like brutal in the ring.
Yeah. And
when you put that up against like what current Toni Storm is, I can't suspend that disbelief unless Mariah May just beats the hell out of her.
Yeah.
And I don't want that. Like, I know Toni Storm can go. So like, I would like to see her adjust that a little bit at least.
I mean, at the very least, make your ankle lock look better. Like, that's.
I think she's not going to use that anymore. I think it was just for this.
The break a leg.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of
I love that name.
Yeah, they never mentioned remember like the big crux of this feud to really.
Which I think she really got a real one, by the way, too.
Oh, you think so?
And
but it never
didn't at first. But
the tattoo never came up again.
Yeah, no, I know.
it came up once. Like, I can't believe you did that, and then like she stayed that mad for that long about a goddamn tattoo. Like, really?
That's why I was impressed that it was a real tattoo. I heard after the fact, and then I think it was. But like, if you're going to do that, use that. Talk about it a couple of times.
Bring it up again after
I don't have too many gripes about the story they were telling because it was a good story. It's kind of weird that they didn't continue to use that little piece of it beyond that initial segment they did on Dynamite.
Yeah.
And there were no aftermatch things in this one. This was the match that I had mentioned. I was kind of disappointing. Everything from here on out is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Do you want to? I don't know. You want to do toe touches before the next one?
Elevate me to the sky. Oh, I'm so elevated. I'm excited about
the next match. Might be the best match I'm going to see. in my adult life.
Yeah, remember when I was in the preview when I was like, it's going to be great, but like Takeshita Darby was tough. It's going to be a tough one to beat because Takeshita Darby was like 5 stars. This match beat the shit out of that match. Yeah. This was one of the greatest matches I've ever seen in my life. Takeshita, Billy Goat, Will Ospreay. They gave us 25 minutes of the most brutal, hard hitting, crazy spots I think I've ever seen, like bell to bell in a match.
Absolutely. And
it was, I think, a little bit more like a fat trimmed away version of some of the Okada Omega super spot heavy, like those matches. Those were probably better matches, but like this match was the most exciting thing I've ever seen.
These two are so fast.
Yeah.
Not even running the ropes. Granted, they're both super fast running the ropes.
Yeah.
But when they, anytime they're doing a move, how quickly they rotate.
Absolutely.
Just the fundamentals of these two.
They're really trying to fight. Like they're professional fighters.
It did not come off as choreographed. It did not come off as we're fucking calling it on the fly.
No,
I don't know what
it came off as we're trying to elbow each other's heads off.
Yeah, it just came off. Yeah, it was neither like, oh, we planned this ahead, or we're gonna figure it out as we go. It's like they just knew. I don't know. They just knew what to do.
I want you to look, Dave.
Oh, how many notes you got here?
This is
bruv.
That's my notes for this match. They're not really even notes.
Sully's notes are Ospreay. Elbows,
elbow in all caps, by the way.
Everything these two do have impact. Elbows, kicks. Jesus Christ, that buckle buster. Take with the seizure cell.
I think they call him Take, but that was Takeshita.
Take. Sure. I take that makes more sense. Blue Thunder Bomb, Cheeky Nando's, German. And then you had actual notes.
Yeah. I was trying to take notes for this, and I was I even after watching this match 4
times, my notes are basically the same as yours. I just wrote spot sequences.
You just look like you're a human being and an alien that landed on Earth.
I wanted to. I don't know. We just have to list everything that happened. Pretty much.
The spots were people call it a spot fest. That's fine. You can have a spot fest with psychology, which they did in this match too. Takeshita, after one of those rolling elbows,
oh my God,
sold the seizure. But he did the claw hands thing that you see sometimes when people have a seizure from a brain injury, and he sold that incredibly well. Yeah, we could just go through the spots. The trading elbows, honestly, might have been my favorite thing in the entire match. And it was just elbows.
Yeah.
But they looked so
and just
impactful.
how they sold them. They didn't sell them like they were getting kicked out of a bar and wobbly on their legs. Like they just fell down.
Yeah.
You would do after getting hit.
Exactly.
So on top of all the
260-pound Japanese man.
Absolutely, yeah. So on top of all the wild athleticism, just really basic, practical, this is how fights actually look kind of thing.
It helps with the super high spot, the flippy high spot type stuff, too, if in between you're doing these brutal strikes nonstop. They are so precise.
Yeah.
Everything that both these guys threw, Ospreay, I think even more so because, and we'll double down on the Dynamite, but everything that he throws, especially those kicks. I think his hook kick is my favorite move he uses.
Yes.
It's one of the simplest things he does.
That back crescent kick thing.
I watched the match 4 times. I went back. The last time I watched the match, I rewound that part.
Say 4?
Full.
4 times.
And just for enjoyment. That wasn't even for the show.
Yeah.
But that hook kick that hook kick that Billy Goat throws. I rebound that like 10 times because I don't understand why Takeshita's teeth did not get knocked out from that kick.
Absolutely.
It looked like he just kicked him right in the mouth.
Yes.
And Takeshita sold it brilliantly. I know it's like the black arts of wrestling kind of thing, and I'm being worked.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
But like with a good magician, I don't want to know the tricks.
Yeah, exactly.
Done. Like I want some disbelief.
I mean, obviously I do because I rewound it 10 times.
Sure.
But you're right. I don't really. I mean, like my soul doesn't want to know how they're doing that because
he'll show his cards one day on Dynamite because now like we just have not much to look at, and now we're about to have everything to look at because if they don't make this guy headline every show,
and my hope is that the problem, quote unquote, with Will Ospreay is that every time he wrestles, the guy wants to give people in the crowd and watching at home their money's worth. He goes full bore at everything he does. Yeah. And you can't do that weekly. Like you can't do it every single week. Maybe you can. Maybe he's like just an alien, which he, certainly is plausible. But I don't think it's in him to hold back at all. Everybody was like, when the Ospreay signing happened, people are, he's going to have to change his style. I don't think his style, it has like grown and gotten better, and his psychology and stuff has changed. He hasn't taken any of the high impact moves out. I don't think he ever will. So I think it's on Tony Khan to like book him in ways that only gives him. We get bits and pieces, kind of like they did with Okada in New Japan, where he's in multi-mans, he's in tag matches, and then like he'll have a week off, and then we'll give us maybe one main event a month, with Ospreay, just because it feels more impactful when you don't get to see it all the time. Honestly, I can't I'm saying this just because I know how wrestling has worked in the past. I could be totally wrong here, though, because thinking about it, I don't think I can get tired of watching Will Ospreay do what he did in this match. Even if I saw it every week, I think I wouldn't get tired of it. And it would be the first time in wrestling history that somebody's that good at the exciting stuff that I would not tire of it. Yeah. Because it's not just somebody flipping around. He looks like he's trying to kill the guy he's wrestling.
100%. But even his spots are like I got to go count. It feels like now that we've seen 2 Will Ospreay matches in 1 week, he has his 5 moves of doom, for lack of a better phrase. And none of them are like high dangerous spots. Like I feel like since he started wrestling at Forbidden Door, when he wrestled Orange Cassidy at Forbidden Door, and then he did the Omega stuff, he's dialed it back noticeably. He's not doing dangerous shit like he was.
This was a dialed back match.
Yes. So all I mean by that is like he has like his main beats now. So if he's going to be on TV all the time, he doesn't have to because his main beats are fucking spectacular.
Yes, absolutely.
So like we just talked about a back kick for 5 fucking minutes, right? And then he does that step up flying head scissor.
Oh, that's incredible. It's better than any luchador I've ever seen in my life.
And we've seen it 1,000 times, on fucking Sunday Night Heat.
It's the first time that I was like, God damn, from a head scissors takeover.
So the fact that can catch your eye, he doesn't have to do insanely high shit. So when he does it once in a while, you put him in the ring with Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher, and it's going to naturally come out because
Kenny Omega,
But put him in the ring with Edward and see what kind of match he's going to have. He's not going to be doing that kind of shit. But
it doesn't matter though, because everything he does the
basics
like we just
great.
said, like the
basics,
the shit moves that I normally would say, I don't care much for that move. I'm not interested in seeing that move. Will Ospreay does it, and it's like seeing it for the first time because he's doing it. He's making it look like it's like watching The Raid or some like John Wick or something, like an action movie. It's like, oh my god, I know it's just shit I've seen before, but I've never seen it like this.
But he did a phenomenal forearm at some point, and it was the least I pop for that the least out of everything. And again, AJ
it's one of my
Styles,
favorite moves.
Yeah, and it wins world titles all the time. And it was just like a thing he did in that match. That springboard hand. So he does a springboard off the ropes, back handspring, corkscrew kick. You know what I'm talking about? Yep. It's a nothing move, but
he doesn't even look out of breath.
No,
it's incredible.
The torque he has on it, and again, it's just fundamentals. He just does everything. For some reason, when he hits a guy and he slaps his thigh, it sounds better.
It's like a crack.
I don't know why it sounds better.
It's like what I was talking about with Swerve, with his kicks and strikes. It always is a big crack right at the exact right moment, with Ospreay, it's like everything he does, everything he hits is that big loud crack, and it looks physically like he's hitting it, on your face.
Yeah,
but he's a safe worker who
doesn't
really ever hurt anybody.
No. And then to that point, like you were just saying, when he does throw things like elbows and they do land, you're like, all of my senses agree with this.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
My ears, my eyes.
When Takeshita sold the seizure, the reason that it worked, him selling the seizure, is because it looked like Will Ospreay hit him so hard he gave him a seizure.
And it sounded like it too.
Yeah, exactly. Like
so
the entire everything all together.
Absolutely. We'll give Takeshita love in a second too, but like
he was absolutely incredible. But the only reason that I'm not just over the moon nonstop right now about Takeshita is because the only guy on Earth that could have overshadowed him in any way happened to be the guy that he had the match with.
Absolutely.
But he didn't really, overshadowing is an overstatement because Takeshita ruled in this match too.
I think they finally had dance partners that can keep up with each other. Like they finally, fucking Magic found his bird kind of thing. You know how we're old? Ospreay, I don't know. The move of the entire pay-per-view. So one of the reoccurring themes is he kept trying to go for the Os cutter in various different ways.
The Wayne's World? It was just the Wayne's World, right?
God damn it is the Wayne's World. And the Cody cutter.
It was the Os cutter first.
So everybody does and then the lethal injection. No, that he does a back handspring for that one.
Yeah.
But when Ospreay tries to go for the Os cutter and he is caught and spun around into the namesake of this program, the most beautiful Blue Thunder Bomb. The
best Blue Thunder Bomb anybody's ever seen.
Holy shit.
Oh, we should mention, by the way, because you just reminded me of it, because of the best we've ever seen. Don Callis on commentary was absolutely fantastic here. And he did the same thing on Dynamite, too. We'll talk about it a little bit. But he was putting both guys over like crazy. Yeah. And went nuts for the Blue Thunder Bomb. I just want to mention it before I forget. Takeshita just did a regular German suplex earlier.
May have been
in the
the nicest German suplex I've ever seen.
Like when he hit it, he hit this one, and my thought inside my head was, I don't think I've ever seen a better German suplex in my life. And then 1 second later, Don Callis, I think in 35 years of being in this business, I've never seen a German suplex like that good. His nose literally touches, literally.
Yeah.
Callis said that, and then I went back and watched it. His nose is touching the mat. That's how perfect that bridge was he was doing. But the Blue Thunder Bomb is that was the move of the show.
And everything they did, and I know I'm saying their technique was right and how fast they're moving, but the Blue Thunder Bomb and the German were almost in slow motion.
Yeah.
It was done so fucking well that
better than I thought a human being could do.
And it wasn't. I don't know. Just don't rush it. I don't know. I don't even know what to say. Like you just have so many good feelings.
It's like a religious experience. These two gods.
So here was another move sequence. I just wrote it. It was a Stormbreaker attempt into a missed kick. Ospreay missed the kick. Takeshita held him by his hands between Ospreay's legs. If he flipped Ospreay upside down into this was a Friday Night Fever, right? That's what Chris Statlander calls it. So it's the tombstone, but the legs are tucked
it's
into
a dead eye, but on the other side.
Is that what that's called?
It's like
I'm sorry, you're right.
Move, but just on the other side of your body.
Yeah. So Friday Night Fever, and then he didn't go for the pin right away. He did another German, but from his quads. Yeah. So it wasn't from his waist. He German from his quads, and then Ospreay pops right up, and I think the hidden blade's from behind, but he did it to his face.
Yeah, Ospreay will do it both ways. I mean, I don't really think it's a hidden blade when it's from the front.
It's just a blade.
But he still calls it the hidden blade.
So
but it doesn't
how
really
do you
make sense.
do blade?
You're not hiding it, but
and then
he loves that Assassin's Creed
kick out.
Shit, that's his aesthetic.
And then a kick out. That was one sequence where beautiful, just
absolutely
fucking beautiful.
But what we just talked about. Faster than you can possibly imagine.
It was done faster than I read it. I would like to.
Absolutely incredible.
I'm going to try to read this out loud. I'm going to watch the match again, try to read that sentence out loud and see if they finish the sequence before I can physically say it. Back to the Don Callis thing. One thing he did really well is he treated this very fair.
Yeah.
So Ospreay did a drop. He did a Tiger Driver 91 where he dropped Takeshita on the back of his goddamn head, and right away Callis goes, no.
It was the first time in the match. I mean, it's the move was there to make you feel that, and Callis immediately, because he's big energy the whole time because he's talking up his boys, and he's 50-50 calling it down the line. but like talking everybody up crazy, you know, the will by God Ospreay thing and Takeshita's the alpha. Like, as soon as he hit that move, Callis sold it like, oh God, is my guy hurt?
Yeah.
I mean, knew he wasn't hurt, but like he sold it. Like, like that, you can't do that.
They got to stop that move.
Did you see the press conference afterwards?
Maybe not that part.
Ospreay's like, oh, bruv, with the Tiger Driver 91. I think Tony's going to tell me I can't use that move no more pretty soon, but I'm going to use while I can still get in. I'm going to get in.
You missed your calling as a soccer fan because that is perfect.
It's my guy. I few and far between, but when I really, really am into a wrestler, I like to try to get at least a decent impersonation down because I figure I'm going to be doing it a lot.
I enjoyed your Goldust phase back in the day. Just walking in a room, puckering kisses at everybody.
I got, who's better than Canyon? Everybody. You're saying it wrong. You're saying it wrong. Or the Stone Cold.
Oh, there it is.
You kind of have to have, for me, you got to have the grit, and Ospreay has it with the crazy cocky accent. Like, I love it all. But yeah, I think that he knows that they're not going to let him keep using that move. Like, no. I've never seen him hurt anybody using it, though. I've never seen him hurt anybody. I've seen him get hurt, but I've never seen him hurt anyone.
Yeah, until he does.
Yeah, sure.
Let's just enjoy it while we have it and have nice memories.
It's like watching LeBron when he first came into the league, and it was like there are not other human beings that can be this size and move like this, and like it's very. Nuts.
He's very. They're both very special.
Did we talk about the brainbuster on the turnbuckle?
No, I'm looking at that in my notes, but
he missed. So Takeshita goes for the Sami Zayn or the El Generico because that was his first match ever. I found out this week. The El Generico brainbuster onto the top turnbuckle, like dropping the head onto the top turnbuckle. He miscalculated. It was like probably the only miss of anything in the entire match, but Takeshita missing this slightly made the move way better and scarier and more brutal. So Ospreay's head misses the turnbuckle, but then small of his back like rips along.
It raked the ropes all the way down,
and just immediately is crazy, awful looking contusion. Yeah, to the point where after the match, Tony Khan was like, "Let's not advertise the Kyle Fletcher match now because I don't know if he's like I could go, bro." So like it was bad looking. And Don Callis, my favorite thing he said in the entire pay-per-view, "Oh, that contusion is right above his liver, so that could have put him down permanently here." Like it was really his kidney, more than anything else. But
also vital.
Liver sounds better.
Sure. Yeah. When the biggest negative of your match is a net positive for the story of the match. God,
the biggest negative of this match was that it ended. Because I could watch it in perpetuity.
Yeah, like you needed a cigarette afterwards.
I don't absolutely. Even smoke. I was like sweaty. I'm like, oh my God! Like, yeah, it was an exhilarating experience.
It's like, God damn, this is great.
Ospreay he's the evolution of wrestler. There's nobody that can touch him.
If they do not make him the tippy top face of that company,
well, I mean, the plan clearly was already kind of that, but like. Talk about undeniable. This is undeniable on a level we've never seen.
Right.
Like he just came in to the company, had the best match that this company is known for great matches. The best match that they've had in like
he dusted everything.
And then with follow up too. We'll talk about that. But like that's undeniable. He is undeniable. Yeah. Plus he's good on the mic now too, and he's like interesting personality. Yes. This
totally unique character.
Yeah, absolutely.
He has a sing-songy theme song. He's got a catchphrase. Yeah. He's got good merch.
I love the Ospreay.
That got over immediately.
They did it right away, which I should have known. I mean, it's AEW fans, so they have been watching New Japan and stuff. They know who Will Ospreay is.
Sure.
But like, I was a little worried they weren't going to do that, and it was great.
Yeah. I don't know. We can sit here and talk for another half hour.
I'm sure there are other spots that we can touch on, but you guys get the idea. It's the greatest match that you could possibly watch.
It was so good. It was so good, and I could watch it every week.
Yeah, I have already watched it.
You're good for the month.
Plus times.
Yeah, if you average once a week, you're good for the month.
Did we even talk? We didn't talk about how it finished. So like he hit, so Ospreay hits the Tiger Driver, and then he hit the blade.
Hidden blade.
Probably could have on the pin after the Tiger Driver, but I do like that he did the hidden blade because it's just awesome looking.
Yeah.
It's like a nice capper on any match.
Well, again, that's a finisher. That's a finisher.
Yeah, but it doesn't, like for him, even in Japan, it doesn't always finish matches.
Sure, but since he's been in AEW, that has been designated as his.
He hit it in this match and it didn't finish earlier in the match.
It finished. He hit it in the front. When he hits it in the back, that's like the.
Well, I mean, it's interchangeable generally for Will Ospreay. Yeah, you're right though. Like AEW, that's the only time he's hit it. Is the this and the Takeshita.
Yeah,
match.
because I never heard of it until he came to AEW. I've heard of the Cutter and the Stormbreaker and stuff, but I never heard of the Hidden Blade. And then when he was doing his pop-up stuff throughout the past couple of years, I was just conditioned as a casual fan to be like, oh, that's it. That's his. Which it struck me as odd because his other two finishers are.
I think they're keeping the. I think his. I think he is going to have One-Winged Angel. I think it's going to be Stormbreaker though.
Yeah.
I mean, even though we've seen like Kenny Omega kicked out of that, I believe in their last match.
Yeah.
But like that is the move that's more classically like, oh my God, that's a super impressive multi-functional like multi-step finisher.
Sure.
And he didn't do it in this match.
No, he did not.
So I'm wondering if are they going to save that and use that as his like big.
It's just
thing.
like Swerve. Like he has the move he can do to little guys. He's got the JML driver, and then he's got the Swerve stomp, and what does he call it? The house call? House call. Dope. It's fucking so cool. It's so simple. Speaking
Swerve Ospreay. Oh, can't wait for that. Whenever that happens.
Do you think that will be what? We'll talk about this more on Actually, let's talk about it after this match, which is Samoa Joe, Hangman Adam Page, and Isaiah Swerve Strickland. I almost called him Swerve Scott. The
jobber from NXT, who's that?
Who's part of a Go Nowhere faction. The story of this match is Hangman does not want Swerve to be champion. They ran a promo before the match. It was a great promo.
Yep.
Told the story correctly. Also, Joe just wants to be a badass.
He's the scariest
dude. Like they're simultaneously telling two stories, and I think they did a really good job. And Joe was the most over guy in this match.
Yeah,
like the crowd fucking loved him.
I think people have, and me internally too, a little bit have gone like, okay, we see that you are going to use Joe as a transitional champion, and we are like, we kind of came to the conclusion, all of us, that like, oh, Joe's better than that. He deserves more, so let's cheer for him now because he needs to hold the title a little bit longer because we don't want him to be a transition champ. He's done too good a job to be that. So I was,
especially after the fallout from this match. I'm really glad they kept it on him.
Absolutely,
because there's just stronger options after this moving forward. So he was the most over in the match. The most over prior to the match is Prince Nana.
Yeah, yes.
He came out to.
He did have dance.
He had dancers. 4 dancers that did not do the dance correctly.
It was. He said that on the night too. They had a choreographed dance. They were just dancing the dance that they were taught to dance.
Do the dance he does. They didn't even do the.
It was
dance.
Much more involved than what like 50-year-old Prince Nana does.
I saw what I wanted to see. He's so good. He's upstaging professional dancers.
Do you think he can Swerve can keep Nana like throughout this
perpetually?
What's going to be a babyface run now?
Well, it'll be like I mean, you have to because
I hope so
because he tees up the Who's House like during promos, and I mean, look what happened when
just turn Nana babyface too. Have him stop trying to cheat, and he still tries to cheat. Just have him stop doing it.
Yeah, but he's like
man.
Everybody loves him. I think you brought it up one point. It's like they never formally have to turn certain people.
Yeah,
like Nana, you don't got to like if he's part of the association, unless he does something really shitty. But who else is he? Who else is in that group? Was it the Mogul Embassy?
The Dreads dude that you mentioned earlier, Bishop Khan,
and the
Prince something.
It's the Gates of Agony.
Yeah, Gates of Agony. The other big giant dude.
You see the big drop off from Swerve to what else is in there?
I mean, there is.
But my point is, Nana's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
It would be a massive demotion.
Yeah, not of his own choice, at least.
No. In other entrance wise, I said this while we were watching it. I love that Hangman's graphics on his Tron are all Red Dead Redemption styled stuff. It's just. Good on them, like especially as a video game company, leaning into shit like that. Like that's where you're gonna shine with the visuals and the presentation.
Yeah, well, I mean, Kenny Omega did that from the start.
And he didn't have it at
Final
first. He had
Fantasy
just like that
and
galloping silhouette of a horse. And at some point they changed it, and it just, I don't know.
No, it's awesome. I agree completely. It is Red Dead, like down the line. Absolutely. The crowd was impressively, it took them a little bit time to warm up, but coming off of that Ospreay Takeshita match, my worry was that, okay, they're going to be dead.
Yeah.
These guys they'll work their ass off. It's going to be a great match, but the crowd's going to be dead. I know that because I've been in enough wrestling crowds. They're exhausted. No, they 5 minutes into the match. Of course, it's Joe Swerve and Hangman. It's going to be a great match. Yeah. It's going to be easy to get into, but the crowd, 5 minutes in, we're back screaming their friggin' heads off.
Yeah, they were up, absolutely up for it for the entire latter half of the show. Actually, there weren't many times in the show where they were quiet.
Yeah, no, they're
like,
the women's match, and I hate to say that because a lot of times you think wrestling fans, the women's match, they're just being whatever, misogynist, so they don't want to see. No, this crowd was they wanted to give that to them too. It was a disappointing match.
That was that particular match. You're 100% right. Joe was doing better high spots than Dante Martin in most of this match.
Yes, he was.
His
Our buddy's not a big wrestling fan. He's watched a couple of pay-per-views with us. But when Joe did his, we see it all the time watching him regularly, but it's still no less impressive. The thing where he slides out of the ring, and then when somebody's going to do a tope, I think it was Swerve.
When he just walks away.
No, when Joe does the kick, when he's standing outside of the ring and he kicks up into the ring, Mark, our friend that shout out Mark, that is not a big wrestling fan, was like, oh my God, that 300-pound man just kicked above his head. Yeah. It's that was more impressive than the Will Ospreay stuff to me because he's a big giant
just
guy.
The physics of it don't add
Joe,
up.
I don't know if he was hurt for a while. Even when he first started in AEW, I don't think he had this level of in-ring stuff in him.
No.
Maybe he got stem cells or something. Oh my God. It looks like
he felt like he was slowing down for a while.
I thought he was winding down, and he was getting by on his because he's got that great aura, the personality and stuff. And I was fine with he's older, let him do that. It's still awesome.
He's an attraction.
Yeah, but he's doing all this old stuff,
he's
Ring of Honor
good.
stuff.
He's very good. And,
the nope spot,
the nope spot
when you're talking about, it gets me every time. He does it all the time, and I'm every time. Oh, you got me, Joe. What was he? It was something different though.
He did it quickly this time. I recognize that it wasn't as passive. I don't remember exactly when
it was
he did
somebody's signature move or something. But anyway, it was a standout thing. Yeah. Joe did his nope spot where he just walks away casually, and it's always great.
Yeah. So while he was being awesome, that was one story, just being a dominant goddamn champion. The other story was being serviced very well. At one point, Swerve hit the Swerve Stomp and a house call on Joe and did not go for the pin. Yeah. He just looked at Paige and he just went for him. So, again, great matches are a great thing to have. Putting continuity in the great matches puts it on an untouchable plane.
I mean, that's psychology. That's the thing they always people always use that term and they use it wrong, but that's psychology. Yes, you're telling a story, you're bringing the crowd along with you.
Yes, and it's not, hey, let's set up the next spot as fast as we can. Let me see it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yes. Reward
Show,
me for
don't
paying
tell.
Exactly. Reward me for paying attention,
and they did.
Speaking of the Swerve Stomp, I don't. Again, we got to nitpick at something here because I don't think I've said anything negative in a while. I don't love how the Swerve Stomp has to be set up. I don't like that a guy has to sit up and just stay there.
And Hangman is better than anybody but Kenny Omega at being able to do it without making it look like he's doing a very obvious sit up.
Yeah,
it can be done, but you're right. For most people. When they're receiving that move, it does feel a little more choreographed than most AEW stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm with you.
There's a couple examples of.
I do like the guy being set up though, more than what Balor does his. They're laying down, but it doesn't look as good. It doesn't look the guy sitting up, popping down to the mat when Swerve hits him. It makes it look more impactful.
But, he usually precedes it with a house call.
Yeah.
So he's kicking somebody in the side of the head. It is totally feasible that he's a little
woozy and sitting up.
Totally. Yeah. So in so much that, and I got to just keep reminding myself that that's probably what he's doing and that's what he's going for.
But like in Swerve's career, there have been times where I was like, oh, he's setting up a little silly.
But I guess it's no different.
Not Swerve's fault. Though.
No, it's no different than a 619. It's like, how come no one else ever ends up on the ropes when in a non-Rey Mysterio match like that? He's got 100%.
Every single time anybody bitches about on the internet about like, oh, Will Ospreay, they're not believable because he no-sells. Even though he's not no-selling, he's doing the fighting spirit thing. No-selling is what Andrade did on Raw. But like, the argument is always, oh no, it has to be fully simulate a real fight. And I'm like, there are fucking Irish whips, motherfucker. Irish whip is the dumbest shit ever created by anyone in any avenue of the arts or entertainment. And it happens in every goddamn match, and nobody says it takes them out of it.
Right.
So shut up about the like it has to be 100% real. Until Irish whips disappear, I don't want to hear it.
I don't know where that came from.
It was an argument I had like yesterday with somebody
in your own head in the shower.
I have to like, because we have the show now. I feel like I'm obligated to enter into the discourse more than I have in the past. Or at least in the recent past, I hadn't at all.
Bring a shield.
And now now it's you just run into the worst. That's when we opened this pod and I was just shit talking wrestling fans. Yeah. That's why, just because I had to wade back into the.
No, they're great. They're great. They're reasonable.
Many
people.
of them are. Yes.
Yeah, reasonable people.
Just don't ever sort by controversial or or scroll too far down.
It's a bad time.
Swerve did his. I'm sorry, I wasn't.
No, you're fine. Hangman gets a visual pin, but he's the one that caused it. So they again with the storytelling. Yeah, I can't like. So Hangman knocked out he took a ref out, and then he got a visual pin, and then he was like, "Oh, I'm not winning, but like you caused it."
Yeah,
right.
And he didn't just. By the way, he didn't just take the ref out. He like beat the shit out of him. Like
I was being subtle.
Wasn't just put his hands on him. It was like, "Oh Jesus!"
Absolutely.
Paul Turner needs a medical. He needs to go to a local medical facility, as Vince used to like to say.
But it was just nice that he is sticking with this obsession angle where while he is focused, he's not really focused.
Yeah.
It's like when you're thinking about anything else and you're trying to have a conversation with somebody and you can't control the tone of your own voice. It was the physical equivalent of that where he couldn't focus on his own match because he's got, his intentions lying elsewhere. So again, kudos to this company for continuing good character storytelling.
And to something we mentioned about in the last match, like the kind of simple moves, that again, it's like a Gunther thing. Simple moves done great are awesome. Swerve hit a powerbomb, just a regular powerbomb, but he like snapped it so hard, made a big giant boom noise, and I was like, oh, that's a great powerbomb. Yeah. Usually I think people kind of waste those because they're kind of damaging to people in real life, and if you don't do it, like if you don't make it look great, it's still just as damaging, but it doesn't look great then. So if you're going to use it, don't waste it. So like I was happy
to do.
Yeah, yeah. Breaking Brian Pillman's neck. Like
he used to do power, but like Diesel had cool power bomb, and that was like the first big guy who did like wow, power bomb makes sense for this guy. He's 19 feet tall, and he would hold it and then he would like throw him.
Yes.
And you're like, gee, he wouldn't even like throw him down hard, just like letting gravity do the job. Sid would not pause them at the top. He would just let them over rotate kind of thing. Diesel did it once or twice. Diesel did it to Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 11. And even as a child, I remember thinking like, that was the shittiest power I've ever seen in my life. But like, yeah, it's the little touches.
Did you ever see when Sid tried to powerbomb Pillman inside the cage with the roof on it that was just above his head, and just smashed him into it and dropped him on his head?
I miss
Sid was something else.
I like that he liked playing softball more than being a rich professional wrestler.
He gave us a lot of good moments though, like I'll take it from the top after he screwed up, and Jim Ross is like, "We're live,
pal."
Sid was great.
He has half the brain you do.
He's unbelievable.
Swerve did we keep saying he's got the best buckshot lariat, and he proved it again.
And this was like an altered one too.
He was sitting on the top rope, like behind the top rope, like on the post, and he like rolled off the top rope and then did a buckshot, and it was beautiful.
It was dope.
It was beautiful.
So the way that this match finished, so Hangman, beats the shit out of Paul Turner. Remsburg, I think, then comes down to...
It's your favorite ref, right?
Yeah, Brad Fink. And Hangman beats the shit out of him, too. So both refs are down. Both, like, Hangman brutally beat to a pulp to the point where it's believable that the refs are down for a little while because he laid in a bunch of, like, piston punches, which led to when both guys were out. Was that when he got his visual pin, or was that... It was just when Turner was out.
Yes.
Remind me, how did they get to that? I know, like, the finish was Joe.
I know the finish. It was Swerve got the JML driver on Hangman.
Yes.
And then Joe, right when Swerve pops up, Joe half hits Swerve.
That's right. Yeah.
Away, like, to the other side of the ring. And then
I had one, not even a criticism of this, but just something I would have done slightly different. So Joe gets Hangman in the coquina clutch and go down. He's got the vines in. They're down to the mat, and Hangman taps. And then on commentary, they kind of sold it as, Hangman tapped pretty fast there. We wonder, was he tapping because he couldn't breathe, or was he tapping because he didn't want Swerve to win, and he knew if I tapped, Swerve doesn't win the title, which I liked. I like all that. The only change I would have made is I would have turned Joe onto his other side, so he's looking at Swerve.
Exactly the same thing.
Because you could tell that story even more beautifully if you see the sightline from Hangman's looking at Swerve, and Hangman's a good enough actor that he could sell that as like, okay, I'm telling the audience now, I'm tapping,
especially because Swerve was like already coming to a little bit and making his way back toward,
like, going to make the save probably, and he did tap quick, especially for Hangman, especially in a company that, like, half the people have to pass out.
Yes.
So he did tap kind of quick. So I do think that, and plus with the commentators selling it, that kind of hammered it home that, like we said, that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
But if they would have just done that, like, let him be looking at Swerve when he does it, would have been a little bit, like, just that little bit better, but it was still a fantastic match.
The story would have had more legs moving forward had they done that. And, like, I don't know if you remember a couple weeks ago when they had their Dynamite match, I was praising the camera working, like, where Hangman's eyes were and shit like that. So they probably intended on doing it, or, like...
I wonder if they did, because they sold it so much on commentary. I think that maybe that was their, that's Excalibur thinking on his feet, that, he's not in his eye line, so I'm going to sell it. Like, it's something I noticed.
Yeah.
Because it stood out that he pointed that out right away.
Yes.
And I don't think he would have had to if Swerve was looking at Hangman. It would have been, like, visually communicated to us. But, like, again, this is a match that has a billion spots. They're going 100 miles an hour. They went for 20 plus minutes, like, flawless wrestling. I'm not going to complain too much that.
Not at all.
That Joe dropped on his wrong side, maybe,
right,
when he was choking Hangman out.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to give a little bit of help here, you could say, maybe he felt footsteps, and I
mean, he did, and like you said, Swerve was kind of getting up to his feet, so he may have, like, you could tell that story too, and it would make sense. That, like, he felt him approaching, and he didn't want him to break it up because he doesn't want Swerve to win anything.
Right. All in all, it accomplished everything and then some that it was supposed to. It kept both stories going. Nobody looked weak leaving it. Like,
the biggest feat of the match too was that they followed Ospreay Takeshita, and it was not disappointing in the slightest.
Right. Yeah. Next match was kind of disappointing. If you're the dumbest human being,
or you have no soul in your body.
If you hate fun, the next thing was terrible.
Good things. So yeah, it's Sting's retirement match. Sting and Darby Allin.
64-year-old. Yeah. I googled how
7
old is.
7 years older than the Undertaker.
Oh,
who has not been able to walk properly for 10 years.
Can't wait for Sting's one-man tour show. Oh, that's right. He's satisfied with his career. Yeah. Ugh. I googled how old is Sting at first, and then I'm like, 72. So I was shocked to find out that bass player Sting is 72 years old.
That tantric sex keeps him young.
Google just needs to, I don't know who's more important in the cultural fabric of America.
I know who's more important in my life.
Can you imagine if you're a famous bass player Sting and you go to Google like how old is Sting and then the wrestler comes up? It's got to be a shot.
I bet if you asked bass player Sting, he'd be like, "I don't use the internet.
Yeah,
I don't even have a TV.
We don't have internet in the fields of gold." What sound does it make when it connects? A dad. That's a police joke. Ugh, boo.
He seems like he'd be unbearable too. Like just trying to tell you about his tantric sex stuff all the time. Like, I don't give a fuck.
No, I don't care.
I much prefer our Sting.
Yeah, just play Roxanne. Move on.
So the Bucks came out.
Hang on. Before we get to it, how come wrestler Sting never came out to like Roxanne or something? That'd be funny. Okay, I'm sorry. I had to get it out.
Bucks come out with using the Cody Vader, so they must have repurposed it from Jade Cargill after Cody gave it to her. It's unbelievable. Love it. They're the new additions to their entrance, the Cody Vader, and instead of raining money, which I think it did the first couple of times they did their entrance on TV.
Yeah,
and this changes again. We'll talk about it on the Dynamite review, but. The change made sense for a story reason too. It now rains business cards. They're wearing like lush robes, like boxers robes, kind of beautiful silk looking robes. I think they also updated they did like the 3-piece suit without the jacket thing. You know, the vest part and the suit pants that they had been wearing, but I think these were like gimmicked. I think they seem like more wrestling, flexible, but they're not working that crazy high spot style anymore. No. Even in this match,
it's still important to have your skin. Skin needs to breathe.
I liked the way they looked better than they're moving around at least.
I was a little bummed that the bloodstained suits never made a comeback. Like that was such a strong visual.
It was unbelievable. They started to get the blood started to get a little bit gross.
Little brown.
They probably contributed to it. But I do like that it seems like they've settled on the Fu Manchus as let's try every beard style week to week, figure out which one is the douchiest possible and stick with it. And I think they've landed on the Fu Manchu. Nicholas Jackson dyed his hair like black.
Yeah.
And also is very much using that like powder stuff that you shake into your head to make you look less bald. It's great. Like that even as an affect for the character is wonderful.
Yeah.
It makes him look like such a bigger douchebag.
Yes. More of an insecure human being.
Absolutely. We
skipped over some other notable guests that were there.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. We can talk about that.
Yeah. So really quickly, Ric Flair comes out because of reasons.
He's been part of the story. Sting. It's got to be.
Yeah, right? I guess.
Sting's best match.
So they did say Flair fought Sting in the same building in 1988, so he had to be there.
Yeah.
Ricky Steamboat comes out next, gets a much larger pop than Ric Flair because everyone's just, Ric Flair again.
Steamboat is Sting, basically. Everybody loves him.
Yes, and he's
a good person.
Also, too, in the crowd was Nikita Koloff, Magnum TA.
Magnum TA, you know what that means. Magnum TA has seen Hangman's mustache, baby.
That's true. They're
He's
probably
jealous.
sharing.
He's jealous of Hangman.
No, they were sharing mustachioed grooming tips, which oils and how like proper maintenance, combs, and I don't even know. I don't know. Probably just talking about things I would never consider. Yeah, of course. Also, Scotty Riggs was there. I guess.
Did you see the Scotty Riggs Buff Bagwell thing?
Yes.
DDP's goddamn saint.
Yeah.
DDP recently saved the lives now of Buff Bagwell, and then Buff Bagwell convinced DDP to reach out to Scotty Riggs, who was just a goddamn mess.
But he looked amazing.
At the end, he looked like
at the show.
Yeah. But the start of the
first
documentary thing, he had no teeth and was like very, very addicted to many, many things.
Sure.
But DDP did his thing, and he looks incredible. Absolutely incredible.
I didn't know yoga could help you grow teeth. Who knew?
I want to know. They call it DDP yoga. I'm like, that's like a thing you're doing. But that's not the whole thing. Like, you're doing a bunch of other shit.
Yeah.
Like the psychological stuff you're doing is much more important.
He made it crystal clear that it's DDPY. He did Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
And they kept calling it DDP yoga. He's like, well, it's actually a DDPY bang. But no, he's saving lives, and he brings him into his accountability. What does he call his accountability crib? Or
it's
something?
the crib of
he does some.
I thought it was crib. No, I think you're right. I think it's the accountability crib.
It's some kind of wordplay with the word accountability and crib.
Crib. Yeah.
And like you just go live with DDP for a while, and like
evidently the magic of DDP makes you not addicted to things anymore.
No,
and you can reconnect with your family.
Yeah,
and
he's got
add 25 years to your life.
He's got the what's it called? The Dorian Gray mirror.
Yeah.
He just rolls back time.
Maybe we're like in 20 years we're gonna find a bunch of like blood drained infants in DDP's attic. That's the magic. He's saving all these guys' life by draining the blood of infant babies.
Mr. Page, can you explain all the infants?
Bang! Bang!
As he's running away.
Help Jake Roberts! Bang!
And then the cops bang bang bang, to stop him. That's a dark joke. In the back, I guess Lex Luger was there.
Luger was there. He was not in the back. He was just on the because Luger's
I thought
still
he was there
getting a paycheck from WWE, and evidently what WWE all they asked was don't be on camera.
Yeah.
So they put them on the hard cam side.
He was in the crowd.
Yes,
I see. Okay.
I actually saw a still picture from Twitter that he posted later of him like in the crowd.
Sure.
Also, I found this out only I think today. I guess the entire roster, like the whole AEW roster, was in plain clothes. Like they just sitting at different spots throughout.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. It was cool.
I heard not to jump ahead, but I heard some people talking about wrestling. It's not a wrestling podcast since we have the only wrestling podcast on the internet.
Only one on earth.
But there were some people who had the audacity to talk about it and were trying to say how they should have done a full-blown Ric Flair style retirement thing on Dynamite this week.
I think it ended just about perfect.
Perfectly. Because let's say you do, right? You can't use any footage from WCW or WWE. You can't have most of his buddies come in because they're under WWE contract.
Yeah, and everybody's not going to be able to show up for both things a week apart, half a week apart or whatever.
And then we got to watch Ric Flair crying a lot.
Yeah.
He doesn't even bring his own energy drinks to the ring. I noticed
that.
You
can't even buy his energy drinks, by the way. After you mentioned it last week, I looked, and you have to go to wooenergy.com or whatever it is.
Oh, he doesn't even have
Amazon. It's impossible.
That's why it's not in any gas stations. Yeah. Dude, I look. I
wanted to have it as a joke today for the podcast, and I'm like, I'm not going to order wait 6 weeks for your shitty energy drink, Ric Flair.
I will be in both Iowa and Kansas this week. I will check every establishment I can.
What are they paying? I don't think it is in any establishments because you can't even I checked on Instacart.
Maybe we'll get lucky.
I think it's only through his shitty website. Which how much are you paying AEW to advertise this thing that nobody's going to buy because it's a pain in the ass?
How much were they?
It was like a regular energy drink, but I think there was shipping. And if you wanted to get it Rush, which you would want to get like Amazon, you're not going to order an energy drink for 3 weeks from now. Well,
you have to get it Rush because if you're tired right now, you need energy. It's got to get here as soon as possible.
I can't leave my mom's basement until I get my woo energy.
I guess standard shipping. I guess I'll be awake next week or in 2 weeks.
So after the Legends came out, after the Legends came out, they did a little vignette thing for Sting. I think it was between the Legends and right.
Yes.
Where it was a Cinema Paradiso thing where Sting is watching. He's sitting in an old school movie theater, watching footage of his own career. A cool thing that they did to get around, were able to do to get around the not owning any of the WCW stuff because WWE has that. They used the old Pro Wrestling Illustrated stills.
Very clever workaround. Cool.
Yeah,
very clever workaround.
And they worked it in nicely. It was stills, but it still felt good. Still felt like mixing that with the live footage stuff. And then they tied the Sting's career stuff that he's watching into the current day on this film reel that he's watching the Young Bucks stuff. Then at the end, and then so him brutalizing Sting's kids and Darby and and then camera swings around, gets in front of Sting's face, and he just does it's showtime for the last time, I think is what he said. And it gave me chills.
And then he did
he did a little bit of an old Stinger just for old time's sake. But it was
great. Yeah. I mean, the intros were that
is
Darby
Allin. And did I write it down? Oh, this is the legend. This is the icon. This is Sting. And then Shivani did his its thing.
Yeah, they just played the hits.
Yeah, which is exactly what
for
we
the
wanted.
last time, which is all we wanted.
So like going into this match, you guys have heard, but we've talked about it. I'm like, I think he's going to go out on his back. I just accepted that, and like, I think my logical brain says that's the right way to do. As soon as that entrance happened, I was like, please don't let Sting lose this match. I went back to being a little kid. I'm like, I need him to win. I need the good guy to win.
He
here.
wanted to lose.
Yeah,
like they were.
I'm not surprised.
There were heavy conversations where the Bucks were like the predominant ones. Like, you have to win,
and they were right because they always read the room well. With that kind of stuff. It's the reason that
we're having a nice time.
Wonderful.
Don't ruin it.
To like glowingly praise the Young Bucks match.
To one of us more than the other. But before we get to those gentlemen, Sting's children were there.
Yeah, they were.
And before Sting came out to seek and destroy, his
AEW theme hit.
His one very in shape son comes out, and like it's Sting. It's
Surfer Sting. His son is dressed up,
and like his body
in
type
his actual
is
Great American Bash from that show too. I found out later.
Oh, that was the same gear.
That's the gear. It was from the Great American Bash, and then his other son came out as well, and he's Wolfpack Sting, and that was from one of the big shows.
Yeah,
might have been Bash at the Beach.
Wolfpack Sting's son looked a little like Kylo Ren-y, like
it was
a little.
So the best thing I heard, and it might have been DDP that posted this, but somebody made the comment.
Bang.
Sting's sons somehow both look exactly like Sting while simultaneously looking nothing like each other. Like it's like each of them got half of Sting.
Yeah.
But different halves. Like it's impossible. Like look up the pic of the photograph of them together. And when you're looking at it, it's friggin' hilarious because it explains it so perfectly. Mm-hmm. But one is long Sting and one is wide Sting.
Yeah. They're like selectable hockey players in ice hockey on Nintendo.
Yeah, yes. Exactly.
But they worked. They worked the match.
Yeah. They started.
Darby started the match with just like ding, 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 suicide dive immediately.
He Darby'd the shit out of his side.
Good Lord.
But the Sons, they immediately got involved. Like right at the start of the match, they get the Bucks in the corners, and Sting's sons do Stinger splashes to varying degrees. Well, the Red Sting got crazy air, but he jumped from way too far away. Yeah. But they hit him. It wasn't like Nia Jax stuff. It was just not wrestlers, but good athletes.
They didn't have froze.
I heard another very funny thing. Somebody, I can't take credit for it, even though I could, nobody would know because it was on Reddit. But somebody said, "Hey, what do you think? What do Sting's sons do? Do they like work in an office? Like that'd be an interesting conversation. Like, what'd you guys do this weekend? My dad had his thing for work." So they got involved early and then kind of like got out of there after they did their big, crowd popping spots. It was cool. Get their revenge on the Bucks. Plus, it gave the Bucks a little ammunition to use later on Dynamite.
Yeah. Followed by double Scorpion Deathlock.
Yeah. Like
he's used to win matches.
The thing that Natty has tried to do in WWE multiple times, and it's been a goddamn nightmare every time she's tried to do it. He did it perfectly.
The whole time we're all just like, please make this. Please don't drop their legs.
Yeah.
Like make this
make
amazing.
It look cool. Make everything perfect.
And he
it
did.
Was.
Yeah, he did. It was very cool. Sting was no selling the whole match. He, Matt Jackson tried to punch him back
in his Sting way.
Yeah,
I mean, fairly early on. You want to talk about the Darby spot now because it was fairly early in the match.
Yeah. They fight into the crowd, and then they do a really quick. Oh, they go outside. Sting and his group, his sons and Darby, pull glass out from under the ring, and.
3 panes, 3 big ass like door sized panes.
Absolutely. One of them, they just lean against the ring, which eventually what happens with that is Sting goes to hit Nick Jackson with a baseball bat, misses. He hits the glass, it doesn't break, but then he just breaks it.
He breaks it. Initially, I thought that was like a missed spot or whatever, and I think it was intentional because I think it was look, this isn't sugar glass.
Yeah.
The bat bounced off the glass.
That's a good
wouldn't
point.
happen with sugar glass. I didn't think of it until way later, but then Sting hit it again. Just in character, it was like, all right, look this, I'm beating these guys up, and he was fired up, so he hit it again, and the glass shattered, and it was safety glass. So it was like, it's real glass. It's just tempered, so it breaks up into little tiny pieces.
Yes.
I think that they pulled 3 panes of glass out.
Yeah.
One ended up in the ring, one up against the one we just talked about, up against the apron that Sting broke, and another one was laid across multiple chairs that had been opened and were outside the ring, towards the ramp.
Which was Darby did this spot in the Jeff Hardy match.
Yes.
There was no glass, but we're like, oh, he's doing it again just with glass. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah.
And who knew that why not would be the most talked about thing?
Oh, absolutely.
Of the entire week.
So Darby said he wanted to make it memorable for everybody. He wanted everybody to remember Sting last match.
Yeah.
So from the top of one of the 2 steps or 3 steps maybe down from one of those crazy 25-foot ladders.
It was a big boy ladder
in the ring.
Yeah.
Darby does try to do a swanton.
Onto Nicholas.
Nicholas, yeah, and Matthew grabs him, pulls him out of the way. And Darby goes through the glass to the floor. It was just a straight back bump to the floor onto now this exploded safety glass. And as brutal a spot as I have seen since Mick Foley. And the Mick Foley one was an accident, just on its own, but then made so much worse. Because when Darby then rolled over onto his side and you could see his back, you see all these little Schiavone to his credit pointed out right away. He's like, oh, look at all the little pinprick cuts all over his back. It looked like Darby had a bunch of little pinprick holes. And then they cut away, they cut back, and they're welling up more. And now there's there's 1,000 beads of blood coming up to Darby's back. Cut away and cut it back. And now it's just his back is raining, his crying blood. It was super gross looking. It was very effective.
There was one too when he landed in I believe his right side looked especially gnarly.
Yeah.
And
that's the only place he got stitches, I believe, was that.
Yeah.
Shocking. 12 stitches.
Yeah.
Which I don't understand because he was just bleeding out.
I assumed it would be triple digits amount of stitches, but what a visual.
Oh my God. Awesome.
Just what a way to make that match memorable. Also too, because up until that point, we skipped over when they went to the ring, to the entrance ramp, and they kind of paired off. So it was Nicholas and Darby.
Hey, watch yourself.
Oh, excuse me. Nicholas and Darby.
Passport names only.
Nicholas gives Darby a Falcon Arrow off the stage into a bunch of tables, and it looked awesome. And then Matthew suplexes Sting off of the stage into a bunch of tables.
Yeah, with no cardboard boxes, nothing.
Yeah.
No Jericho fluffy landing for Sting here. It was off the stage through table, on the floor.
Absolutely. And you can look, and there's no printed pattern of steel on a crash pad.
Did you see that after the again in the press conference, Sting was talking about the match in general, and the topic of the Darby spot came up, and he's like, everybody keeps talking about it. It's the most incredible thing I've ever seen. He's like, old guy took a couple of bumps too out there. His Sting, he worked his ass off and bumped like crazy.
Right.
And the Darby thing didn't take away from it. It was a great thing to do in story because it took Darby out of the match, and then Sting was able to just be the focus.
Yeah, and it was a straight handicap match following. What we thought, literally handicapped Darby.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, we weren't sure watching whether Darby was okay or not because Jesus Christ.
They powerbomb Sting
went
off
through
of
the glass. I'm sorry.
No, through the table in the ring first.
Yeah.
Not even the glass. And then he just no-sold it like Sting does. Yeah. No-selling's the wrong term, but he just
you guys know what we're talking about.
Bounces back really quickly.
It's the Sting no-sell, the thing that pops everybody.
And then, like you were just mentioning, they threw him through that third piece of glass.
Which I think this is part of the magic, the sleight of hand. I think that one was sugar glass. Because if you go back and look at the way that one shatters, it shatters different than the other
two.
Does it
really?
Than the one that they showed with the bat and the one that Darby went through. I don't think you could do sugar glass with the Darby spot.
No.
And you wouldn't get that great visual either.
Right.
But the way that the glass broke on the one in the ring, it was bigger chunks. It didn't break like safety glass does. Like if you ever broken like your windshield or like I'm sorry, one of like the passenger or driver's side window on your car. That's how it breaks. That's how the glass breaks into like little pebbles. The one in the ring broke more like a conventional like window pane would. So that made me think like that. Oh yeah, that's probably sugar glass, which is still very dangerous. But it's like I think they did make that concession.
I think that's the one that hit people in the crowd too.
I couldn't, people were bitching about that online a ton, and I watched that Darby spot like 40 times. I saw a glass like go towards the lady in the front right row moved back like she was afraid glass was going to hurt.
People
but it didn't hit her.
But there were people that showed that they were bleeding.
Oh, that was okay.
Right.
I thought people were talking about it just from the broadcast, and I'm like,
no,
we didn't see that.
It got somebody, and yeah. I mean, you put me right in my place earlier today where I was like, fucking Tony Khan unsafe. And you're like,
it's these goddamn trolls that like just try to weaponize everything.
Sure.
And then you can never know like what's real and what isn't unless you research it yourself.
Yeah.
Nobody has time for that.
My big gripe was, how is there not? Because people who got injured or were bleeding submitted claims to AEW, and Tony Khan rejected them right away. And I'm like, this motherfucker. But then like, yeah, you brought up a great point. There's liability coverage on any ticket.
You can't just say, it's my fault.
If I go to a House of Blues and I get hurt at the House of Blues, I can't sue the House of Blues because, or maybe I can.
Well, you could, but if you went to the House of Blues, they wouldn't be like, okay, here's some money, because that's them admitting faults.
Yes.
But you just can't do as a business.
Absolutely. But, and then I'm like, maybe just give him a T-shirt. Like, it always boils back down to, like, if somebody gets hit in the head at a baseball game, like a foul ball, like, there's liability involved there. But the team usually get to meet, like, the guy that's chasing the home run crown.
And who knows how they approached him, too, because the AEW has done the thing, like when MJF threw the drink on the kid.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, well, they'll give you, like, the all-star package of meet everybody, get a bunch of T-shirts and signatures and all that stuff. But, yeah, then people were like, of course, because it's the internet wrestling discourse, people are trying to weaponize it and, like, posting pictures of, on Dynamite, of, like, the warnings that are up, that are, like, are always up at every wrestling show, and they also verbally say, everyone I've ever been to, that the warning, they say it on the PA every wrestling show I've ever been to.
Not even that. This was a visual printout. I texted to you guys, like, it was text on the screen.
But people were posting it like, oh, look, it's Tony Khan trying to, like, no, that shit has been up.
Yeah.
It was, they made it bigger on, like, that sign, but those signs have been up forever at AEW and WWE, right. But now people want to turn everything into it.
Also, too, if you go on there, because when I was still, like, when I thought I was right, I went on there, like, legal on AEW's, like, I was kind of, like, Boolean searching on Google some of the phrases, and, like, it takes you right to their ticket legal page, and it's like, it's all there.
Yes, it is.
Like, which makes sense. Like, a guy that owns...
It's a wrestling show.
But he also owns a football...
and
a soccer thing.
He knows what he's doing when it comes to that kind of stuff.
He knows people might get a little out of hand in the fucking crowd, But no, so that's that.
Sting. Well, we said he knows so, but I do want to. I want to single out the thing I said I would be disappointed if it didn't happen.
Yeah.
So remember what I said when AEW is going at their best, 2021 level, awesome. What they do is better than the thing that I came up with.
Okay.
The Young Bucks doing "We Hate You, We're Not Sorry." It was great. They did the spot I said I wanted to see was the Ric Flair. We love you. We're sorry. No, the Bucks. We hate you. We're not sorry. Right. With like pouty ass faces on. We don't care. We hate you. We're not going to give you that kind of respect. And they did their super kick, and Sting did this thing.
Yeah.
The chest. I think that was when he did the chest pound.
He did. Let's see. Stereo kicks. We're not sorry. We hate you. Stereo super kicks into Sting no sell. Sting beach chest. Yeah. Death drop on Matt.
Crazy pop for that.
Yeah. Death drop on Matt, EVP trigger, kick out.
Yeah.
That's when it was a close kick out, because then they did it again. And he kicked out right at one. And then and then at that point you're like, is this the most fun I've ever had watching a wrestling match? They go for the TK driver. Nick's pushed off the top rope by a now recovered Darby Allin.
Yeah, somehow. We should say, because we moved past it because it's not the most exciting stuff, but I think it is important for the story of the match. There was a time in there right after Darby got taken out, and the Bucks were double teaming Sting, and then the Bucks were they knocked out Ric Flair. They hit Ricky the Dragon with a super kick.
Oh yeah,
and it all felt like, I don't want to see this. I don't want this. I don't want that. That's when I really was like, I know I need Sting. I need the hero to win here.
Well,
because it felt like, they're beating the shit out of these old guys, and it doesn't feel good in the right way.
Totally.
But then when Sting, the stuff we were talking about,
and they tried to intervene and stuff, so it's just wild how, Steamboat was stopping, I forget if it was Nicholas or Matthew, from grabbing a tag title to use as a weapon.
Yeah.
And Steamboat stops him. And
it's harder to tell now, too, with the dark hair.
And he gets laid out. And then while that's happening, Ric Flair just looks like a lost old man and just wanders into the ring. And he lays on top of Sting.
He was a lost old man.
Totally. He apparently wanted... I was reading this on the way to your house today. He wanted that to be. He wanted to turn on Sting there, and he
did. He wanted it to be about him.
Conrad Thompson, his son-in-law, who hosts all those podcasts, asked Conrad. He's like, "Hey, could you please talk to Tony? You have a good relationship. Let him know. I think what's
trying to politic. It's Sting's last.
And he said it was best for business. He's like, hey, Conrad, I think it's best for business.
Does he have any idea?
No.
How?
No, you can put anything after that sentence. No, he has no idea about anything.
About how bald-faced bullshit that is, and what everybody already thinks of him.
Totally. And he already added nothing to the thing. If you look at the grand scope of what he contributed, it was fucking nothing.
We're talking about Ric Flair too much.
but Conrad, to his credit, is this is your match. I think you should talk to Tony. Yeah. And he never got around to it. So he just I would have liked the "we're not sorry, we hate you" super kick more if they did it to Ric Flair.
To Ric Flair, yeah. But I don't think he could. Steamboat took his, and he actually was able to sell it. I don't think he took a real bump, but he could sell it a little bit.
No, they did a stereo super kick to Ric Flair.
It was he was on the ground though.
Yeah,
it was that one. It was the
which
one
is fine.
Down on your knees. Yeah, no, it looked great.
It's fine.
And story wise, if I pretend I don't know what Ric Flair actually is in real life, I do kind of like the Flair covering Sting up and saying no, sacrificing himself, because the whole story of the Ric Flair Sting relationship is they were teammates a bunch of times, and Flair turned on him every single time.
They were boys.
And at the end, Flair's willing to sacrifice himself for the Stinger.
I would have loved if they sacrificed Ric Flair for Sting instead.
He's unkillable. He's
I don't know about that.
Hell demon. I don't know how he's still alive.
No, I have no idea. So we skipped over all that, and then the end of the match was again, after they went for the TK driver, Darby Allin pushed Nicholas off the top rope through a set-up table on the outside, so that took him out of the match. Sting gave the Scorpion Death Drop to Matthew.
All these perfectly executed, too.
And then right away, Darby's just queued up for a coffin drop. And then right after the coffin drop, Scorpion Deathlock, sits down, taps out.
The fuck out.
And it was everything that, I don't know. It was
awesome.
It was such joy.
It was the perfect way to send off a legend.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like it in wrestling.
It's now number 2 behind Kurt Angle. It's the greatest way.
Carvin?
No. Can you imagine?
Again, the discourse, I hate to keep going. There were people that were saying, the Bucks are doing a Baron Corbin. You dumb motherfuckers.
They're doing a what?
Do you believe that? A Baron Corbin.
How?
Exactly.
How? They lobbied for Sting to win.
Yes, everything tells you that they said they're doing a Baron Corbin by booking themselves in the match.
No, Sting requested that.
Yes, I know. Yeah. I know.
I know you know.
I'm a normal
I'm talking to them through you.
Yeah. I just got to stay away from
they're fun. Sometimes it's better than a cup of coffee.
It's mostly fun, but then if you go down the wrong rabbit hole with a cup, one wrong person ruins your day.
But then you go outside and go, oh, they're not here.
Yeah, I go up and look at my daughter and my wife.
Overall, I don't recall seeing a pay-per-view with that high of a success rate of matches that were, I can't wait to watch this again.
To the point that even the failure is kind of a success because in the past, like we were talking about, AEW pay-per-views are sometimes so high octane that you get a little tired.
Right.
I wasn't tired at all for these last 3 matches that should have exhausted me because we did have a little bit of downtime there in the middle.
It's awesome.
I hadn't really thought about it this way, but until today. But like the Sting retirement thing, everybody said it already. You probably heard it before that it's just perfect. It was the perfect way to send Sting off. But like thinking about it, they had the retirement match for a legend on the same show that went perfectly. On the same show that a guy debuted for the first time as a full-time member of the AEW roster. So his debut match, ostensibly, in a better way than I've ever seen anybody debut in my life.
Yeah.
On the same card. Just amazing.
Yeah. They bookended one career with the end of one and the start of another, essentially.
Yeah.
Set everything up like Dynamite. I'm like, what the hell's going to happen on Dynamite? They fell into bad patterns again because, and again, I think it's just they like celebrate good shows like their Super Bowls and like they forget they have to work on Wednesday. But like they just don't announce shit that's coming up.
Well, we'll get to. I have strong thoughts about like in both directions on Dynamite. I mean, they did a lot of stuff.
They did a lot of stuff.
Some stuff is going to go great. Some stuff's not going to go
absolutely.
Great.
But all I'm saying is coming out of this pay-per-view, I'm like, what the hell? Like they can go in 17 different directions right now, and I like all of them.
Yeah. It was amazing.
I also did not bring up the Sammy Guevara thing on this because it's not topic appropriate for this Revolution standalone episode, which is our first standalone pay-per-view podcast episode.
I mean, like the Elimination Chamber didn't deserve one.
No, I think if they deserve
because and then the Elimination Chamber, I'm sure did 3 times the number of buys, and there were 60,000 people there because people are dumb.
Right. Well, also too, like, dude, my nephew said it today. He's like, Elimination Chamber was kind of boring. Like, I knew everything that was going to happen.
Kinda.
He is 10. He is their target demographic.
That felt like work, and this felt like shooting amphetamines into my eyeballs. It was awesome.
Yeah, I loved it. And yeah.
Yeah, if you guys are listening to this podcast first this week, we're going to record simultaneously, and well, not simultaneously. That would be like a magic trick. But we're going to record
multiverse
right now as well, and so both of these episodes will drop simultaneously. The one you're listening to currently, and our regular weekly episode. So go check that one out. And listen to us talk more about pro wrestling.
More wrestling. We still have Raw and SmackDown and Dynamite to talk about.
And I have stuff to say about Dynamite. And then a segment on SmackDown.
I think we will have the most spirited dialogue when it comes to Monday Night Raw.
Yes. I'm interested to see how it goes.
Yeah.
Sure. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. As always, we appreciate it and hope you stick with us. Stay tuned this week for our first classic pay-per-view review. Bye-bye.
Bye.